presented by Siemens continues as we welcome you to Michigan Stadium here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Where would you rather be on this Saturday in late November and right here watching the 98th meeting between Ohio State and Michigan? The Wolverines, number 10, with so much at stake coming into this one. A chance to share the Big Ten title and earn a bid to one of the BCS Bowls. Illinois with a half-game lead right now, but Michigan holds the tiebreaker between the two in the head-to-head matchups, and here come the Wolverines. Better than 111,000 on hand here in Ann Arbor. They expect a record crowd, which would be the largest on-campus crowd in the history of college football. Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Gannon, along with David Norrie. The Wolverines trying to win a share of the Big Ten title for the 4th time in the past 5 years with a win today. And if they're able to pull that off, David, many would say this might be Lloyd Carr's best coaching job yet.
With all the talent that this Michigan offense lost a year ago, not many people gave them a shot to be in this spot, but really it's the Michigan defense that has put them in position. This is one of the best units in college football. You try to move the ball through the air against them, they lead the country in sacks. You try to move it on the ground, they're number 7 in the country against the run. They're deep, they're talented. If they keep rolling, Michigan will end the day the Big Ten champ.
You got to believe they'll come after the quarterback early in this one too. The starter for Ohio State, it won't be Steve Belisari, suspended last week after being charged with a DUI. He is in uniform here though. We could see him on the playing field, but it'll be a first-time starter at quarterback for the Buckeyes. Craig Krenzel, who is a native of Michigan, starting for the first time in the Michigan game. Talk about pressure.
Well, last week it was a baptism by fire. Pretty good defense in their own right. Illinois, Krenzel hadn't taken a snap from center going into that game, but today it gets even tougher. On the road, big rivalry game, more than 110,000 fans. He's a Michigan kid. He's thought all week about the magnitude of this game. Ohio State has to find a way to take the pressure off the young quarterback.
He's from nearby, suburban Detroit native, so Krenzel with a lot of pressure on his shoulders. The Buckeyes and the Wolverines set to go. Right now we take you over to the PA announcer for our national anthem.
Flag is raised.
It's a game in which names are made and unforgettable images are etched into our collective memory, where tradition demands the extraordinary and legends build their lasting legacies. It's Ohio State and Michigan. Enough said. Jim Tressel, the first-year head coach at Ohio State, spent 15 years at Youngstown State, 4 Division I AA titles there, and a native of Ohio. Lloyd Carr in his 7th year as the Michigan head coach, 4 straight wins in bowl games on New Year's Day, and of course 5-1 against Ohio State. The Wolverines have won the toss. They've deferred to the second half. Hayden Epstein, the veteran, the senior who won the game a week ago against Wisconsin, with a field goal with 10 seconds left. He'll get us underway. Here we go in Ann Arbor. Maurice Hall, Brandon Childress back deep. Hall taking it 5 yards deep. He'll go to one knee. And the Buckeyes will start 1st and 10 from their own 20. Craig Krenzel, we talked about him in the open. All the pressure on his shoulders. Utica, Michigan native. Right down the road in suburban Detroit. Came on last week. There are the numbers. He led Ohio State on 3 strong drives in relief of Scott McMullen, who started the game. But he threw the 2 interceptions and the one that really turned the game around late in that one in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, Terry, it's going to be very important for Ohio State to stay out of pass rush situations. Obvious passing downs, obvious pass situations for Krenzel. They have to take pressure off the young quarterback. Just his first start today.
Steve Belisari, you saw him a moment ago. Number 8 on the sidelines. We'll have to wait and see if he gets into this one. Jamar Martin, Jonathan Wells in the backfield. A flag is down, and they're going to whistle this one dead. And I believe it's a delay of game penalty.
Prior to the snap, delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Right out of the gate, Jim Tressel's young quarterback showing some nerves. Did not find the 25-second clock after breaking the huddle.
So it'll be 1st and 15 when they come to the line of scrimmage. Jim Tressel, a native of Ohio, he knows all about this rivalry, even though this is his first one as the head coach of the Buckeyes. Spent time as an assistant coach at Ohio State back in the 80s. Wells bounces through one, fights his way across the 20 to the 22. Eric Brackens made the stop for Ohio State. The backs and receivers. Jamar Martin may be the best fullback in America. Many think so. Jonathan Wells over 1,000 yards this year. Sanders, the tight end. Vance and Jenkins, first-year starters at the end spots. And they are improving with every game. That'll bring up 2nd and 9 on the opening drive. Look at what they have done this season on opening drives. Krenzel gives it to Wells. Spins back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. A swarming defense up front. Norman Hoyer on the stop. The offensive front, Tyson Walter, his 48th consecutive start. LaCharles Bentley, one of the best centers in the nation. And it will be up to them to clear the way because Ohio State likes to run the football. The defensive line, Rumashek, or the top 2 in terms of sacks. They're at the defensive end positions. This is the top defense in the nation when you talk about sacks. 45 on the year, and this would be one of those situations that Jim Tressel talked about not wanting to get into. An obvious passing situation, but they're going to hand it off. The inside give up to the 26-yard line goes Wells, but that's it. So it brings up a punting situation on 4th down, and remember the game last week against Illinois. The first punt for Andy Groom was blocked, and it went for a touchdown. So Groom comes on to punt for the first time this afternoon. The junior out of Columbus, Ohio, and back deep, Marquise Walker, the senior out of Syracuse. A little bit of a high snap, but Groom gets it off. Line drive punt. Walker stepped away at first and then let it bounce. And they'll down it at the 27-yard line, a punt of 47 yards. So John Navarre, the sophomore, will lead the way for the Wolverines. This is an offense, David, as you look at his numbers, they're much better at home than they've been on the road. But an offense that has definitely taken some heat this year.
Yeah, they've taken some heat because they've been very inconsistent, especially in Big Ten conference play. The passing game last week, only 58 yards for John Navarre through the air.
1st and 10. Askew in there as the only setback, but Navarre throws it away. The intended receiver, Ronald Bellamy. You look at the starters for Michigan, B.J. Askew, a bruising tailback, former fullback. They'll use him there as well. They go with the double tight end set often with Thompson and Seymour. Bellamy and Marquise Walker, 5 catches away from being at least tied with Anthony Carter, 6 away from being the all-time leader in Michigan history in terms of receptions. Seymour in motion on 2nd down. B.J. Askew, tough running over the left side. Not much going on there at all. Tim Anderson from Clyde, Ohio, makes the hit. The offensive line, a good one that's improving. Kurt Anderson, the emotional leader there. He's been solid throughout the season. Bit of a surprise, too, for the Michigan coaches. Defensive front for Ohio State. They're young. They have 3 sophomores there. Darian Scott is playing the best of anyone at the defensive end position. So it brings up 3rd down for Navarre in the offense. 3rd and 9. Look at what they have done on their opening drives. Straight drop for Navarre. Plenty of time. Tipped, could be picked off, and it is. Mike Doss with the interception for Ohio State. Inside the 5, the ball is loose but out of bounds. It'll be 1st and goal for the Buckeyes.
Well, John Navarre gets in trouble right away, thrown in traffic over the middle. Ball deflected by DeBook, the big tight end. And Mike Doss, if there's a big play safety in the country, it's Ohio State's Mike Doss. Reads the deflection, makes a nice break, and a couple of steps from taking this all the way.
And the junior from Canton, Ohio, brought it back 35 yards, his 2nd interception of the year, and it's a huge one. 1st and goal. 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 1 Martin and Wells in the backfield, out of the eye. Jonathan Wells looks to get outside. Can he get there? The cut back to the line of scrimmage, and flags everywhere. Charles Drake was the first one to get him.
This might be a face mask. Larry Foote, the All-American middle linebacker, arrived quickly. But either Foote or Drake got the face mask. And it looked like number 24, Charles Drake, got the face mask, and they're going to go ahead and call that a personal foul. Ball's inside the 5, so not a big difference between a 5-yarder or a 15-yarder in this situation.
They'll place it at the 3, so it'll be first and goal from the 3. Krenzel brings them back up to the line. The Buckeyes trying to take control of this one early, and they've stopped to talk about it. Well, the Ohio State coaches have talked about Lloyd Carr's defense and not letting them make a big play early. And here we have the Buckeyes making the big play defensively, the turnover to set up first and goal.
Well, it was really Navarre who made the big play for the Ohio State defense. He had Dubuque open in the secondary against his own defense, and that was just a poorly thrown ball. Dubuque made a nice play just to get a hand on it.
So they'll move it down to the 2 after some discussion. First and goal, Ohio State. Hartsock, the tight end, in motion. Wells up the middle. Can't get there. May have gotten to the 1 before Eric Brackens hit him along with Cato June.
And Cato June, the free safety, finishes this play off well. Jonathan Wells initially hit, keeps his legs moving, but Cato June comes up and makes sure that Ohio State does not get into the end zone.
A couple of hard-hitting safeties for the Wolverines in June and Drake.
And a hard-hitting tailback in Jonathan Wells. He's one of the more physical runners you'll see in the Big Ten.
And maybe the best lead blocker you're going to have out of a backfield. Jamar Martin. Wells tries it again, bounces outside, he's going to get there. Touchdown, Ohio State. They're on the board first. Wells, with over 1,000 yards this year, has 4 straight games of over 100 yards. Only needed a couple that time. So 6-0 Ohio State with Mike Nugent, the true freshman, on for the extra point. Up and through. So the Buckeyes, off the interception from Doss, take it down and are on the board. 7-0 Ohio State. 7-0 Ohio State early in this one on the 1-yard touchdown run by Jonathan Wells, his 13th touchdown of the season. Chris Perry back deep along with Todd Howard, waiting the kickoff from Josh Houston. Take another look at this.
Yeah, Dan Rumashek, number 92, makes a great play to get there and misses the tackle. And you've got to take Jonathan Wells low. You got to wrap him up. Had a big week last week, 192 yards against Wisconsin, and that was really through 3 quarters.
2 big running backs in that backfield for Ohio State. Martin and Wells. Here's the kick. Todd Howard at his own goal line. Fake the reverse. Here comes Howard with a seam on the near sideline, across the 40, across midfield. Howard inside the 30 to the 27-yard line. There is a flag down, though, back at the 15. So hold on. They're bringing it back.
Well, Michigan's going to fake the reverse to number 23, Chris Perry. Gets the coverage team for Ohio State moving the wrong way in pursuit. And Howard all the way back inside the Buckeye 30-yard line. Another mistake will bring it back. Michigan State check that. Michigan has done a great job over the course of the year in special teams making big plays. And this one is going to get canceled out on a blocking infraction, and Navarre is going to start with some pretty poor field position.
Inside the 10, just outside the 8-yard line, and Navarre coming off the mistake just a moment ago that led to the touchdown. Now the Wolverines are backed up deep in their own territory. Askew straight ahead. He's met by Joe Cooper head on. Well, we have a moment. We send it back to Times Square Stadium in New York. Check in with John Saunders. An update on another Big Ten matchup. John?
Thanks, Terry. The Burger King update. Indiana against Purdue. The weather is awful. It's absolutely pouring. LeBron Williams, though, good footing here. Takes off 52 yards for the touchdown. Indiana grabs the lead over Purdue, and right now sitting at 13-0. Terry.
John, thanks. The sun has peeked through at times here as Askew gets the call over the left side out to about the 13-yard line, but they are calling for rain this afternoon here in Ann Arbor.
35 light. Well, we talked off the top about Ohio State taking pressure off Craig Krenzel. Michigan's quarterback John Navarre has not been very consistent lately, and he's still a young quarterback. Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator, talked about not getting in obvious situations throwing the ball with John Navarre. And the turnover on the first possession last week, he fumbled twice and threw a pick at Wisconsin.
3 receivers set. Chris Perry now in the backfield. Navarre to throw on third down. Down he goes. The sack made at the 12-yard line. Will Smith got to Navarre.
Great coverage downfield by Ohio State. And John Navarre, not the most mobile quarterback you'll find in the Big Ten. Will Smith eventually finds it.
Hayden Epstein on, just does get this one off. Chris Vance fields it at his own 42. Vance dances around and gets ahead to about the 45. A 43-yard punt by Epstein. Nice job getting it off. 3-yard return for Vance. Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Cadillac, the fusion of design and technology. New Nivea for Men aftershave balm, more evolved skincare. Capital One, who asked, what's in your wallet? And Beechwood Age Budweiser with a crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers. Overcast day here in Ann Arbor for the 98th meeting between Ohio State and Michigan. The Buckeyes come up first and 10, leading 7-0. Krenzel so far has not had to throw a pass. And they're going to whistle this one dead before it gets underway. Second time we've seen that already in what is only the 3rd series for the Buckeyes, David.
Some early movement along that Ohio State offensive front.
On the offense. 5-yard penalty remains first down.
Take a look right now at the Sprint PCS game fact. Michigan and Ohio State, as I mentioned, the 98th meeting. Michigan leading the series. First time they met, 1897. And Michigan has dominated as of late, winning 10 of the last 13 meetings.
Ohio State only able to come up with 7 victories in the last 25 games. And a lot of big opportunities for Ohio State in the 90s ended by Michigan.
The give to Jamar Martin, the big bruising fullback over the right side out to about the 44. Martin 6 feet 255 pounds and a senior from Canton, Ohio.
John Cooper, of course, fired at the end of last year. Jim Tressel takes over, and Cooper, really the most important reason why he had to move on was his lack of success against Michigan. You go back to the 93 game, the 95 game, both years where Ohio State brought undefeated records into this rivalry contest.
But Cooper won almost 72% of his games at Ohio State, but he was 2-10-1 against Michigan, and that was it. 2nd and 11. Krenzel throwing this time off a play action going up top. Good coverage down there. Incomplete. Michael Jenkins, the intended receiver, but Todd Howard was step for step with it.
Now this is a well-thrown ball by Krenzel off play action. And Jenkins is a big receiver, 6'4", 200. Now Howard battles him all the way. Ohio State's going to try to take advantage of some of these matchups on the outside. Howard only goes 5'10". Buckeyes will take their chances down the field. trying to take advantage of that size.
Jenkins and Vance, the two first-year wide receivers, have come on strong in the last 4 games. Jenkins had 10 catches a week ago against Illinois. They give it inside to Wells. Cuts back across midfield and close to a first down. Good block by LaCharles Bentley to spring him, the center from Cleveland. We'll see where they mark it.
And Jonathan Wells, 4 consecutive games over 100 yards on that last run. Shows you a little bit of his ability to keep the pad square. Some nice lateral movement. And last week against Wisconsin, really carried this team with the run game. 192 yards. And the Buckeyes, Terry, really had to abandon that run game in the 4th quarter when they got behind the Fighting Illini.
And it was about the only time in the game where their offensive line didn't dominate. And it is a first down, so they'll move the chains. Jim Tressel, he knows all about this rivalry and what we were just talking about in terms of John Cooper and how important it is in Columbus. When he appeared at that basketball game on January 18th, there was one school he singled out, making his first real public appearance as the head coach, and it was, of course, Michigan. So it's 1st and 10. There goes Chris Vance, split out to the far side. Martin in motion, coming across. Wells looking for a block. Not much going on, though. Tough running to the 45. Charles Drake came up from the strong safety position to make the hit. Take a look right now at what he said.
That you'll be proud of our young people in the classroom, in the community, and most especially in 310 days in Ann Arbor, Michigan, on the football field.
Even named the days, 310 days.
And don't think for a second that didn't hit the newspapers and the TV stations.
Been talking about it, all week here in Ann Arbor. Wells ahead for about 3. And this has been a rivalry which may be the greatest in college football. Over the years, you've had some trash talking from players before games. You remember Jim Harbaugh guaranteeing a victory back in '86 and a number of other guys. The last few years, no one has been willing to talk coming into this one.
Lloyd Carr, the head coach for Michigan, he makes it a point, not publicly, but behind closed doors, to not give Ohio State any bulletin board material.
Now they're passing down for the Buckeyes. 3rd and 7. Play action. Krenzel under pressure. Jenkins is out there, but he overthrew him. Shante Orr was all over Craig Krenzel. Orr, the sophomore out of Detroit, may be the most active on that defensive front.
They get great play inside with the defensive tackles. A lot of speed on the outside with the defensive ends on the pass rush. They come into the game with 45 sacks, leading the country.
In fact, they're just 1 away from a Michigan record that was set back in '92. Andy Groom set to punt. Marquise Walker back at his own 10. You're going to watch this one sail into the end zone. So the Wolverines will bring it out to the 20 after the 42-yard punt by Groom. The Buckeyes up 7-0. Washington and Miami, BCS implications, no doubt there. Washington have a shot in that one, Dave?
Well, you look back to last year's game up in Seattle. A lot of the same kids playing this afternoon. The Washington dominated that football game, but Miami really on a roll.
Michigan's 3rd possession. They have yet to get a first down. The swing pass to B.J. Askew. Still in bounds. Finally brought down. And he stayed in bounds right out at the 20-yard line. Good pursuit by Ohio State. So Navarre's got to get this offense going. We mentioned the struggles, especially the last 4 games or so. And they're still looking for that first down.
And this Ohio State defensive front, not real easy to run the ball against. And Navarre's going to have to make some plays through the airways to loosen things up.
2nd and 10. Calvin Bell in motion. Going to give it to Askew. Joe Cooper right in the backfield to meet him there. He may have lost a yard. Tim Anderson in there as well. Well, last season, Warwick Dunn, Marshall Falk staged a thrilling back-and-forth battle. Decided in the final seconds by Dunn, as a matter of fact. Monday night, Tampa Bay taking on the surging St. Louis Rams on top of their division. Bucks and the Rams, Monday Night Football, right here on ABC. Another third down coming up for the Wolverines. They have yet to convert one. Navarre, plenty of time. Has a man open. It's Walker with the catch. He's got a first down at the 35. Knocked out of bounds by Derek Ross, and that's a matchup David will watch all afternoon.
And Ohio State was dropping a linebacker out underneath this route. This is good arm strength by Navarre. Look at 58, Cortland Bullard, and then Ross, number 7. And a great job by Navarre to fit that ball in. That was a difficult throw out on the sideline.
Gain of 15, and Marquise Walker now inching ever so closer to Anthony Carter's record. 35 straight games with at least one catch. First down. They're going to run the reverse. Here comes Bell with lead blockers, including Navarre, who threw a good one. Bell upended at midfield and into Ohio State territory after a gain of 16.
Well, Michigan hasn't had great pass distribution with the wide receivers. Marquise Walker, 66 grabs, and Bell and Bellamy less than 20 apiece. And Bell's more likely to make plays running the football for this Michigan offense as opposed to catching the ball. He's got 3 touchdowns on end arounds and reverses, and has a nice feel for cutting the ball back up inside.
And in many ways, this doesn't look like the Michigan offense of old. They have run a number of reverses, sometimes trick plays. As Askew gets knocked down after a gain of maybe 1. Tim Anderson on the stop.
Yeah, the Ohio State defensive coaches, you come into this game, and usually it's a physical game, a game of running the football, but the Ohio State defensive staff was not real concerned about Michigan running the football. They wanted to stay focused on Marquise Walker not making big plays. They were worried about the screen pass ability of Michigan, and also, as you mentioned, Terry, the trick plays.
Big plays really a key for them defensively. They gave up some key third down conversions against Illinois in that loss. Play action. Navarre, Bellamy on the near sideline. He overthrew him. Donnie Nicky, the free safety, step for step.
Well, that was solid play action in the backfield, and they fake the sweep to the right side with Navarre, a nice sell, but Donnie Nicky, the free safety, was in perfect position, and Navarre a good job just to throw that ball away deep.
Nicky with interceptions in each of his last 2 games. 3rd and long, 3rd and 10 here for Navarre. Quick drop, quick throw. He's got Walker, who's just pounded. Brought to the turf by Matt Wilhelm, and that's a hit that is indicative of this rivalry.
And Matt Wilhelm is waiting on this route inside, and he times it up perfectly. Uses that right shoulder, and Michigan took a bit of time on the sideline to decide to punt this away. This is a spot on the field where going for it on 4th down was definitely an option.
Hayden Epstein on for the punt. High kick, Chris Vance coming up to field it. The fair catch at the 15-yard line. Not one of Epstein's better efforts, just a 28-yard punt. Now, full day of college football next Saturday here on ABC. Number 2 Miami taking on Virginia Tech. That's at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Big East showdown there. And then Oregon State taking on number 5 Oregon. Another big rivalry. Notre Dame Purdue at 4:30 Eastern, and at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game. Colorado's already there. Who will be there to face them? Oklahoma or Texas? We'll have to wait and see. What a game that was yesterday on ABC.
Unbelievable. 62 points.
Oklahoma game, by the way, a little later on. 3:30 start. Wells almost broke it. Now he does. Larry Foote runs him down at the 35. Jonathan Wells with a power run of 20 yards.
Now, this has to be unsettling for Lloyd Carr. Michigan is playing the run, and their game plan is to force Craig Krenzel to beat them. Ohio State's lining up against an 8-man front, and they're getting big push with the offensive line, and Jonathan Wells is stepping through tackles.
192 yards against Illinois, 47 today already. Here goes Wells, looking for room, cuts back, nowhere to go. Well, something has to give. You've got an Ohio State team that wants to run the football. They've got Jamar Martin as the lead blocker. Jonathan Wells, a 1,000-yard rusher against the top rushing defense in the Big Ten.
And Michigan's going to do some things on defense with their front four to try to create 2nd and long and 3rd and long situations. They like to move after the snap. They bring stunts. They're very active. And if they can set up some obvious passing situations for Krenzel, then they can turn that pass rush loose.
Put Wells in the slot now. Martin, the lone setback. Jamar Martin, the fullback, with a big hole across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Martin, who averages over 5 yards a carry, doesn't get to carry it all that often. Just 16 carries coming into this game.
He's the best lead blocker in the country, period. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes high in the NFL draft. He gives the Buckeyes a lot of flexibility in pass protection as well, because he's capable of taking on defensive ends on pass plays.
Buckeyes getting it done so far on the ground. Wells steps by, has it up to the 45, close to a first down. We'll have to wait and see. Alex Stepanovich and Bryce Bishop sprung them at the line of scrimmage. And they will move the chains. It's a first down for the Buckeyes. Well, you couldn't draw it up any better and see it play out for Jim Tressel. This is what he wants to do offensively. Keep it on the ground. Keep Krenzel, the first-time starter, away from having to make mistakes, long passing 3rd downs. Martin straight into the line, maybe gets to the line of scrimmage.
A nice job of play calling by the Ohio State offensive staff, and they've come out on a couple 3rd down situations and run the football, and they've done it with some success, and that's another way to take pressure off your young quarterback.
First quarter comes to a close. The 98th meeting between Ohio State and Michigan. The Buckeyes with the lead, 7-0 after the interception and the 1-yard run by. Our Thanksgiving feast presented by Siemens continues here on ABC Sports. 7-0 Ohio State as we begin the second quarter. Terry Gannon, David Norrie here. The Buckeyes bring it up with Craig Krenzel, the first-time starter here in the state in which he was born. Rydell Ross going the opposite way. Ross getting his first carry this afternoon, and it was not a good one. Jake Freisinger, number 99, one of the Wolverines, playing his last college game here at Michigan Stadium.
This defensive front for Michigan is deep, athletic, and very talented. They got pushed around some a year ago, and some teams posted some big numbers statistically and the scoreboard against them, but this year they've shored things up, and this front four is very tough, not only in the sack department but also against the run.
Play action for Krenzel. Got a man wide open. Chris Gamble across midfield and then hit hard out of bounds at the 46. Had to get to the 44 inside the 45 for the first down. Todd Howard hit him there. Gain of 12.
What Ohio State is doing here early is they're max protecting. They're keeping backs in the backfield, making sure that Krenzel is freed up to deliver the ball outside. And they're going with 1 and 2 wide receiver routes outside. Nice safe throw on a 3rd and long situation.
So Jim Tressel keeping things solid and uncomplicated for Krenzel, but now it brings up 4th down, and they're going to go for it. Martin and Wells out of the eye. Wells over the right side, got the first down. He may have a touchdown. He's gone. Touchdown, Ohio State. Jonathan Wells, 46 yards for his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. It has all worked so far for Tressel in his first year as head coach at Ohio State. His first matchup with Michigan as the head coach, and everything is clicking right now. On 4th and 1, Wells takes it to the house. Nugent on for the extra point. It's up, and it is good. Wells with a touchdown run, and Ohio State is rolling early in the second here in Ann Arbor. Less than a minute into the second quarter, and the Buckeyes up by 2 touchdowns. There was no secret what they wanted to do coming in, David. Give it to Jonathan Wells and let him run. Open up holes for him, and that's exactly what they've done so far.
Up front, Ohio State's offensive line is winning the battle, and they're winning against an 8-man front.
Chris Perry, Todd Howard back deep for the Wolverines. Howard going to watch this one sail out of the end zone, and Michigan will have to start 1st and 10 from their own 20.
Watch the block by number 39, Jamar Martin, the fullback. He'll be working against an All-American, number 17, Larry Foote. Boom. Centers up on him, and the burst of speed by Jonathan Wells launches him into the secondary.
39.
For Wells, 12 carries on the afternoon and 98 yards already and a couple of touchdowns. You look at the man who opened the hole for him there. So Navarre's got to get to work for the Wolverines, trying to win a share of the Big Ten title. Illinois' win over Northwestern on Thursday. They have the half-game lead. He's hit as he throws, and that'll be incomplete. Quickly, let's go to New York and join John Saunders.
Well, Terry, the backyard brawl. David Priestley looking for Antonio Bryant and finds him. He's found him early and often in this game. This one, 27 yards for a touchdown. Bryant with 6 receptions for 113 yards, and that TD, it's 17-14 at halftime.
All right, John, 14-0 here. Ohio State with the lead here in the second quarter. B.J. Askew gets the call this time, dances back up to about the 23-yard line, gain of about 3. Mike Collins on the hit. Time right now for the Aflac trivia question. Here you go. How many Ohio State head coaches have had a winning record against Michigan? Give you the answer in just a little bit. Give you some time to think about that one. Already told you that John Cooper did not, of course. 3rd and 7 coming up. Bell in motion. Navarre, the straight drop with plenty of time. Throws it away. Going for Marquise Walker, and you hear some of the boo birds here in Michigan Stadium.
And John Navarre likes to lean on Marcus Walker for reception. 66 catches on the year, and Ohio State is doubling number 4. Michigan's going to have to find Bellamy and Bell on the outside in the passing game.
Chris Vance calls for the fair catch at his own 42-yard line. 35-yard punt from Epstein, and Ohio State will have it again on offense. We welcome you back to our Thanksgiving feast presented by Siemens Ann Arbor, Michigan. 14-0 Ohio State as the skies darken. A little bit of rain. You can feel it coming down, and things are dark right now for the Wolverines. Their defense has spent a lot of time on the field already. Jamar Martin tripped up right at the line of scrimmage by Larry Foote. And this is not a situation that Michigan knows a whole lot about this year, at least, David. No, coming from behind, 14 down.
No, Michigan has not trailed by 14 points at all this season. And coming into this game, Lloyd Carr pretty close to being undefeated. They had the lead in the 4th quarter up at Seattle. Obviously, the disappointing loss, last play of the game against Michigan State.
Loss of 1 on the last play. Wells trying to get outside, now cuts it back. Ahead for about 3. Stopped by Eric Brackens and Victor Hobson, who has been playing extremely well the last 3-4 games. Don't forget, coming up next, Tiger Woods, Jesper Parnevik, Greg Norman, Colin Montgomery battle it out for $1 million in a Thanksgiving weekend classic, the Skins game. Out in the desert. Coming up next right here on ABC.
I imagine they're having a little bit better weather out west than we're getting here in Ann Arbor.
Although, for this time of year, you can't complain about the weather we've had here.
The wind's kicking up a little bit down on field level, and that may affect the passing games a little as we go on.
They tell us rain is on the way. Play action. Krenzel could have run it, but throws, and it's complete. He's got a first down at the 42 to Michael Jenkins. Brandon Williams on the coverage, but a first down for the Buckeyes.
Well, Jenkins is going to be working to come back out at the top of the screen. It's a deep route, a well-disciplined route, and Krenzel, a heck of a job in the pocket of moving, getting reset, and then delivering that ball outside with authority.
You impressed with Krenzel so far?
Very impressed, and Ohio State definitely is not asking too much of him early. They're working the run game and loosening things up with the play action.
Wells made one miss, but now caught behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of 1. In our Pacific Life game summary, it has been all Jonathan Wells. Taking it in after a first and goal from the 3, a 1-yard run for Wells, and then 4th and 1 for the Buckeyes, and he took it 46 yards to the house.
There was no secret that Ohio State was going to come out and try to pound the ball on the ground at the Wolverines. And if Michigan keeps having to get safeties up involved near the line of scrimmage, Vance and Jenkins are going to have opportunities for big plays outside.
Michigan has taken the timeout. They weren't set defensively, so they'll talk things over on the sideline. The BCS, of course, well, coming into focus, I guess, but Nebraska, of course, the loss yesterday. Miami, the big game against Washington coming up. Oklahoma against Oklahoma State to get to the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, this weekend's been pretty eventful with the loss by Nebraska yesterday. Michigan down by 14 points. Some of these teams on the bubble, like Illinois and Tennessee and Texas, have to be on the edge of their seats right now, getting excited as their BCS prospects get stronger.
Now, Texas could play in that Big 12 championship game if Oklahoma were to lose. They would be the representative of the South in the Big 12.
I couldn't believe my eyes yesterday in that Nebraska-Colorado game. 62 points, the most points ever racked up against the Nebraska defense.
Well, they have 45 points in the first half. You look at the action tonight here on ABC. Washington taking on Miami. Beat them last year. Stopped the winning streak. 58 games down in Miami a few years ago. Notre Dame and Stanford. Your lineup tonight here on ABC. And all Ohio State so far in this rivalry, though. 2nd and 10. Out of the shotgun is Krenzel. Inside give to Wells. They've run that a couple times. This time not with much success, though. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Lazarus on the stop. Sean Lazarus. Shane Olivier down for the Buckeyes, the starting right tackle. So while they tend to him down on the field, good look at the Big House. Michigan Stadium expecting more than 111,000 fans. In fact, they may have the biggest crowd ever in this stadium today. Largest crowd was back in '99 for this matchup. And a full house today for Ohio State and Michigan.
If they do set the record today, Terry, it would be the largest on-campus crowd in the history of college football.
Take a look at what may have happened on that last play. Oh, just rolled up on that left leg. Big number 71 there. So they will work on him and hopefully be able to tend to Shane Olivier. We'll step aside for a moment, come back to Ann Arbor. Back in Ann Arbor a moment ago, Jim Tressel down there on the field holding the hand of Shane Olivier, who was injured on that last play. And now they have him on the cart. His afternoon is over here at Michigan, and boy, that's a big loss for the Buckeyes. He's been playing awfully well, David.
That's really a shame, and he had a big block on the touchdown run, the 4th down touchdown run by Jonathan Wells.
Go back to New York and check in with John Saunders. John?
Terry, Indiana and Purdue, we told you, playing in this downpour. Brandon Hance didn't get the start for Purdue. Kyle Orton is there. 14 yards, John Stanford. And Purdue gets on the board, trying to climb back from a 13-0 deficit right now within 6 points. Terry.
The old Oaken bucket looks like a scene from the old days with all that rain and the mud. Purdue and Indiana. Adrian Clark is now come in. He is a starter, but trying to help shore up that line for Ohio State. On the run is Krenzel throwing, dangerous pass, and what a catch down there by Darnell Sanders, the tight end. First down, Ohio State.
Craig Krenzel has made 2 great throws on the move to his right. And look at him put a little air under this to beat Larry Foote, number 17. That's a great ball and an even better catch by Darnell Sanders.
Look at his numbers on the year. That was a gain of 17, and Krenzel gave his receiver a chance to catch that ball. Threw it up in the air. Sanders 6'6", went high in the air to get it.
It's not easy to do, to put touch on the football to the outside on the move.
So it's 1st and 10 Ohio State as they continue to break down this Michigan defense. Top defense in the Big Ten. But Ohio State's been able to move the football all day so far. Talking about the clock right now, and Jim Tressel, well, you can't see it on his face. He doesn't show much emotion, does he? But he's got to be thrilled with what's going on here.
He's got to be very pleased with the mix of run and pass. And Ohio State, once again, in scoring position.
Martin and Wells out of the eye. Wells already over 100 yards. The 5th straight game in which he has done that. And we're only in the first half. Here he comes, straight ahead. Power run down to the 21-yard line. Earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question. Did you come up with this one? How many Ohio State head coaches have had a winning record versus Michigan? It's not many, folks. 3, including, of course, Woody Hayes. 15, 12, and 1. Earl Bruce, who spoke to the team last Sunday, 5 and 4. But the Woody Bo battles revisited today because the first 7,500 people coming into the stadium received Woody and Bo bobblehead dolls.
I got to get one of those.
Classic. Wells, a big hole over the left side. He almost broke that one. Down to the 14. Got to get to the 13 for the first down. We'll see. There you go.
You got to love the sunglasses on Bo there.
They're giving out the Bo bobbleheads today, but they have the Woody bobbleheads too. Yeah, some nice shades.
You see, Bo's got his hands in his pockets, and Woody's got his arms crossed. That signature short sleeve dress shirt. Unbelievable.
And there is Bo Schembechler up in his box up there watching the game right here at Michigan Stadium. Visited with him yesterday, and well, he's having a great time in life right now. Wells can't get outside. Victor Hobson was there to trip him up.
Well, Michigan has a great core of linebackers, and Victor Hobson, huge matchup against Jamar Martin at the point of attack today, going up against the big fullback for Ohio State. And as you mentioned, Terry, Hobson playing very well in the Big Ten schedule. Very flexible linebacker, has the ability to cover tight ends on the outside.
David, these long drives too, exactly what Jim Tressel wanted to have his young quarterback involved in. Keeping it on the ground, throwing it when they have to. 10th play of the drive here. Wells stumbles ahead to the 17.
And the play calling is going to get a little conservative here. 14-0 lead. Clock ticking down on 8 minutes to go here in the second quarter, and Ohio State wants to be thinking 3 points for sure. If Krenzel takes a shot, and if they do decide to put the ball up, it's got to be a safe throw, because Krenzel knows he's got 3 points in his back pocket right now.
3rd and 15. That's what Ohio State has done on 3rd down this afternoon. Jamar Martin, the fullback, the lone setback. They offset Wells. Here goes Martin, nothing doing. Stopped right behind the line of scrimmage. Grant Bowman, number 60, hit him there. So the Michigan defense holds.
And that's what Ohio State was thinking. 3 runs. One thing they didn't want to do is lose yardage. Had a fresh set of downs on the 14-yard line. And now Mike Nugent will have to stretch this out to about a 39-yard attempt.
Didn't want to put his young quarterback, though, as you said, in a position where he was going to make a mistake and maybe turn this game around here. It will be a 39-yarder for Mike Nugent.
Now, the troubles that Michigan's had on offense as of late, a 17-point lead is huge.
Nugent 6 out of 12 on the year. Line drive kick, and he hooked it. No good. So maybe a bit of momentum swinging to the side of the Wolverines for the first time today. Remind you that ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy. The cars you can depend on, the cars that last, will be there. Aflac, ask about it at work. Tostitos Scoops, the dip lover's chip. And new Pepsi Twist, Pepsi and Diet Pepsi with a twist of lemon. The crowd here at Michigan Stadium trying to get into it now, trying to get the offense into it as John Navarre comes up under center. 1st and 10. Going to throw on 1st down. Swings it out to Marquise Walker, who's going to back it up to the 22. 3rd catch of the afternoon for Walker, but Derek Ross was all over it.
It's going to be tough for Navarre to find Walker because Ohio State is using the safety to help out on number 4. And any corner that's matching up with Marquise is going to get help to the middle of the field and some help on deeper routes.
Going to call it a gain of 3, the forward progress. So they place it down at the 25. Straight drop for Navarre. Flushed out of the pocket. Going to run for the 1st down. Sliding in at the 39. They'll move the chains. A gain of 13 for Navarre. And a good decision.
Well, the Wolverines use formation. They empty out the backfield. 5 spread receivers, and Navarre has not done a good job of this in the 2001 season. He hasn't had a great feel on when to exit the pocket, but on that play, good job to break on the quarterback draw and pick up yards.
You look at the total yards this afternoon. Navarre not the most mobile quarterback either. This one's tipped, intercepted, picked off by Ohio State. Tim Anderson. The 2nd time this afternoon that Navarre's had a ball tipped and then picked off. Darian Scott, the defensive end, may have got his hand up to tip it.
Quick passing game. 3-step drop. Defensive linemen are taught to get their hands up against the quick passing game. And that was Darian Scott, number 56, got a hand up. Anderson comes down with the deflection.
Another huge defensive play by the Buckeyes, because you kind of felt when Ohio State missed the field goal, the crowd getting into this game, the offense at first completion by Navarre, then the run for the 1st down, maybe the momentum was swinging, and here comes Ohio State. 1st and 10 out of the eye. Jonathan Wells over the right side down to about the 26-yard line. Victor Hobson on the hit. And maybe the same strategy once again for Jim Trussell. Keep it on the ground, play it safe.
Well, right now they're not in real comfortable field goal position for Nugent. With the wind on the field, he has the wind behind him. The Buckeyes and Jim Trussell would like to get some yards here. They'd love to pick up a 1st down, keep the drive going, but they, primarily they want to extend this lead, and if they can get Nugent closer, all the better.
The toss to Wells coming to the near side. Nice play. Todd Howard tripped him up. Got a hand on the ankle. They get him right at the line of scrimmage. Don't forget, Monday Night Football coming your way here on ABC. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Tampa Bay Bucks against St. Louis Rams. And over on ESPN, Sunday night, NFC Central battle. The Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears, one of the surprise teams in the NFL this year.
Well, as Krenzel ducked into the huddle there, he was reading the play off his armband, and usually that means a pass.
Play action on 3rd and 8. They throw the screen to Martin on the near side. He's got room to run. Over one, knocked out of bounds, close to a 1st down. He has it. Eric Brackens knocked him out, but they'll move the chains. Gain of 12 and a well set up play.
Yeah, this is good play design because they're going to fake play action, half roll to the right. They sneak Martin out to the left side. Big number 39 shows some nimbleness along the sideline, picks up the first down.
Nimbleness at 255 pounds, huh?
Going a little bit more for the physical nature of his blocking, but they use him as a pass receiver.
First down, there may have been contact. And we'll see if the Wolverines were drawn offside as they sort this one out. You know, we've seen throughout the afternoon shots of Steve Bellisari on the sideline along with Jim Tressel, and Tressel has been so supportive. You see the offside against Michigan. Been so supportive of Bellisari, the senior who made the mistake a week ago Friday, charged with DUI and suspended for that one game. And people can have their opinion as to whether or not he should be in uniform or not, but the one thing Tressel has said is we want him to know he's made a horrible decision, but he is still part of our family, and that's why he's in uniform.
Well, they showed him some support, and throughout the week, Tressel said it's very unlikely he will play. If Krenzel keeps playing the way he's playing right now, no need to go to another quarterback.
1st and 5. Wells busts through to the end zone. 3rd touchdown of the afternoon for Jonathan Wells. An 11-yard run to the end zone for Wells. And if you're Lloyd Carr right now and Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator for Michigan, you're saying, well, they're not doing anything really fancy, but they're just beating us at the line of scrimmage. Nugent on for the extra point. His 3rd of the afternoon. So Wells well over 100 yards on the afternoon, and the Buckeyes just dominating this one on the road in Ann Arbor.
But Terry, when we visited with Lloyd Carr yesterday, he said it was simple coming into this game. The game's going to be won or lost up front. Said there was one key. Let's take a look at the pit. 2 tights. Alex Stepanovich, 76 pulling. And Wells is doing a super job running the football.
And once he breaks through that line, Cato June, the free safety, had no chance. Nor does any other defensive back for Michigan, really, against Wells, who goes 6'1", 230.
Keep an eye on the fullback, Jamar Martin. He gets another block. 192 yards last week against Wisconsin. Wells, along with the offensive line up in Columbus, nearly carried this team to a victory. And if they would have won that game, they'd be playing for a shot at a BCS burst this afternoon.
There's Josh Houston on for the kick. You can only blame the Michigan defense so much, though. They've been on the field for much of this game, and the 2 picks thrown by Navarre have put them in horrible situations. Howard bringing it back across the 20. Strung up and thrown down at the 24. Now, don't forget, coming up on a Capital One halftime show, John Saunders, Terry Bowden bringing you all the scores and highlights from college football today. John and Terry at the half. Plenty of Ohio State fans here in Ann Arbor this afternoon and having a great time so far.
It's getting close to the time where Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator for Michigan, is going to have to start abandoning his original game plan. 21 points. They're going to open up here with the spread offense, and they're going to have to go with a more generous helping of pass plays.
Navarre with only 58 yards in the air last week. 24 today over the middle. This one's tipped through the hands of B.J. Askew. Is this something that Navarre is doing, David?
Well, absolutely. As a quarterback, you've got to find lanes to throw through. I mean, you're working with big offensive linemen in front of you, defensive linemen that are rushing, linebackers that are blitzing, and it's the quarterback's job to find seams, find lanes.
He hit him in the shoulder pad.
Yeah, and there's no excuse for that. That's not just a great play by a defensive lineman. It's not a solid play by the quarterback. And Navarre's going to have to step up the quality of his play in this football game if the Wolverines are going to have a shot to come back.
Well, his backup, Jermaine Gonzalez, has come on in each of the last 2 games in relief when the offense has sputtered. And you wonder when Lloyd Carr makes that call here.
And going to Gonzalez would be a very tough decision, maybe for a series or 2, but this is a huge game. This is the Big Ten championship on the line. And if Michigan wins this afternoon, they're in a BCS game.
And don't you know that Ohio State would love to keep them out of that? 4 times in the 90s as you look at what Jonathan Wells has done. 1-yard touchdown run, the 46-yarder. And then just a moment ago, bursting through the right side to get to the end zone again. But 4 times in the 90s, Michigan kept Ohio State either out of the Rose Bowl or kept them from winning a share of the Big Ten title and a national championship shot. And they'd love to have some payback here in Ann Arbor today.
There's nothing more frustrating than being a defensive coordinator, and in this case, Jim Herman for Michigan, knowing that Ohio State's going to come out, knowing that they're going to try to pound the ball at you, and still not being able to stop you.
Look at the time of possession. Ohio State over 17 minutes so far.
Unbelievable.
Out of the shotgun, quarterback draw. Navarre looking to get outside. Got through the hands of Wilhelm, but stopped at the 31 by Dustin Fox, the backup strong safety. Fox, the freshman, a true freshman out of Canton, Ohio.
Ohio State had to use a number of extra defensive backs last week against Illinois. The way Kurt Kittner and company like to spread you out, use multiple receivers.
What Michigan is trying to do right now, a 4-receiver set out of the shotgun Navarre. Quick throw. He's got Walker, who's hit right as he catches the ball by Derek Ross. But they'll move the chains. And Walker now with his 4th catch of the afternoon. He's 2 away from holding the Michigan record, but he's down injured on the field.
Marquise Walker took another shot. He's taken a couple big hits early in this football game, and every time Navarre delivers the ball outside, you find not 1 defender but 2 defenders in the neighborhood. And on this play, Cortland Bullard, number 58, is going to be shadowing outside, the underneath defender. Ross coming up and delivering the blow from the cornerback position. Looks like Walker's up to his feet. He's big and he's tough. Really having an All-American type season.
1st and 10. B.J. Askew cutting back. Gets across the 40 to the 41. Askew, a guy who uses his size well. He goes 238, but really not one of those breakaway tailbacks. His longest run this year, 30 yards.
Well, he played fullback in front of Anthony Thomas, the A-Train, a year ago. And Chris Perry, who splits time with B.J. Askew, really got the majority of the backup snaps last year, but Askew has stepped into the tailback role well this year.
3 minutes and counting until the half. Quick out, dropped by the receiver, and Tyrese Butler had it right in his hands. Can't blame Navarre for that one.
That's been a problem for Michigan. They have not gotten great production from receivers other than Marquise Walker.
And even Walker in the last couple of games has had some drops. And you talk to the folks around Ann Arbor, they think maybe at this point in the season he's taken a lot of hits. He might be fatigued, blocking punts, returning, and of course as a wideout. Navarre strong on throw and Walker high into the air. He can't haul it in.
And Walker's frustrated. And you could see after this play, he was upset with his quarterback. Curl route, Navarre has him, he's open, and the ball sails on him. And in a game of this magnitude, you've got to make that throw.
Marquis talking about it on the sideline. Navarre 5 out of 14 on the afternoon. Chris Vance another fair catch. They'll throw the flag. Didn't get him in the cushion. He was within the 2-yard cushion. Brandon Williams down there on the coverage after a 36-yard punt.
Violation of the 2-yard radius on the kicking team. 5 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
You know, you see that happen so often in college football. Most of the time, though, there's some contact involved, and you're blocked into that area. So that time, that wasn't the case.
Well, and if you do pick up the penalty, it's only 5 yards. And sometimes they don't drop the flag. You can get a punt returner to maybe drop or muff the punt. Ohio State's going to start out with good field position here, and don't be surprised if we see them work on the clock a little bit.
Jamar Martin gets the call. Tough running straight into the line. Grant Bowman, along with a number of other Wolverines, meeting him there. Bowman, who's really improved this season, playing awfully well. The sophomore out of Black Lake, Ohio.
Wolverines are very deep at defensive tackle. They have 4 or 5 players that rotate in, and they've been a big reason for the success of the defensive ends with the sacks, and also the linebackers making plays behind the line of scrimmage.
Timeout, Michigan. We go back to John Saunders in New York.
Terry, it's been a tough year for Wisconsin, finishing off against Minnesota. Nick Davis, perhaps a little bright spot here, takes off 65 yards in this return. Just a couple of great cuts at midfield, then the speed. It sets up a touchdown 2 plays later. Anthony Davis scoring that. So Wisconsin going even with Minnesota now, but that's a 1-6 team in the Big Ten. Minnesota 28 apiece.
John, thanks. How do you figure out Wisconsin, a team that beat Ohio State earlier in the season last week, took Michigan, should have beaten them, just an incredible comeback, and somehow Michigan won that game, and now struggling with Minnesota.
Definitely one of the disappointments of the 2001 season to realize that Wisconsin's not going to go to a bowl game. And with a win last week against Michigan, their bowl hopes would have stayed alive. Bit by a little bit of bad luck on that punt at the end of regulation.
Bad luck, poor decision by the freshman.
One thing's for sure, Barry Alvarez will be back. He's definitely one of the top coaches in college football.
Michigan down to 1 timeout now on 2nd and 10 for Ohio State. Wells across the 30 to the 31, gain of 2 on the play. Larry Foote, middle linebacker, tripped him up. And Michigan will call their last timeout here. Try to stop the clock, get the ball back, and get something on the board before halftime.
That's a good use of timeouts by Lloyd Carr. Down 21 zip. You got to start thinking about putting a clock drive together and getting some points on the board before halftime. It also forces a decision by Ohio State here on 3rd down. Do you put the ball up? Do you risk a turnover? Do you risk an incomplete pass where time doesn't continue to come off the clock?
Don't forget the Skins game coming up next here on ABC. Tiger Woods, Jesper Parnevik, Greg Norman, Colin Montgomery. Monty won that a year ago. They play for $1 million out in the desert here on Thanksgiving weekend. Be 3rd and 9 when they come back on the field here for Ohio State. The last thing that Jim Tressel wants to do is make a mistake right now before the half.
That's a great point, Terry. And when you take a look at the impressive numbers for Jonathan Wells, when you talk play call here, be very surprised if Ohio State puts the ball in the air. And if they do, it'll be a safe pass, a screen pass, maybe to one of the backs.
Krenzel's going to put it up. Throwing out of the backfield, that's Martin with the catch, fighting to try to get to the first down marker, won't get there. Good pursuit by the Wolverine defense. Charles Drake got there first, but they did put it up in the air.
And the Ohio State staff showing a lot of confidence in young Craig Krenzel. And once again, Krenzel comes through.
Lloyd Carr trying to get his troops off the field and back on for the punt return. Marquise Walker awaiting the punt from Andy Groom.
The book on Krenzel was not much mobility, and we didn't see a lot last week against Illinois.
Remember, Groom had one blocked last week against the Illini. Folks in Champaign watching this one with interest. And they'll stop to talk things over here. The Illini trying to win the Big Ten title. Had the win on Thursday against Northwestern to get to 7-1. A half-game lead over Michigan, but Michigan holds the tiebreaker. In the head-to-head matchup, the Wolverines won. With a loss here today by Lloyd Carr's troops, and the Illini win the title.
Fire.
They call timeout, Ohio State.
Jim Tressel, nice job using his timeouts. He used as much game clock before the punt as he could, calling a timeout just before the 25-second clock expired. And now it's John Navarre's turn at quarterback to try to get some points here before halftime.
Well, some great games in the history of this series. The rivalry that probably is the best in all of college football. Back to '94, John Cooper, his first win there. Eddie George, Heisman Trophy winner, taking it down. And it was 22-6, the victory for Ohio State that year. But of course, Cooper 2-10-1, as we've mentioned, and one of the reasons he is no longer on the sidelines for Ohio State. Maybe the main reason. Low snap. Groom just does get it off. Not a very good punt, but he got it off. Walker comes up the field, and a dangerous play by Marquise Walker, but he falls on it. At the 30-yard line.
Buckeyes real close to getting a 15-yarder at the end of that play. Walker, nice job to come up and make the play. And Derek Ross, number 7. Probably should have picked up a personal foul on that.
Ball was loose, though, and it was tough to tell if you're Derek Ross whether or not it was a fumble at that point or not. At least that's his argument.
You can always touch the return man instead of leading with the helmet there.
True. Not impressive numbers so far for Navarre. Trying to get something on the board before the half. Askew had 3 Ohio State defenders all over him, and Navarre threw it into the ground.
And Ohio State was ready for that one. All week long, they were concerned about the screen plays, using the aggressiveness of the defensive line and their linebackers against them. And they smelled that one out.
So 1:27 left until half. Brings up 2nd and 10. Not a bad weekend so far of college football. The big upset yesterday, Colorado with the win, and now Ohio State trying to pull off the same. The ball's on the turf. The Buckeyes may have it. It's Ohio State football. Kenny Peterson, number 97, got in to strip the ball from Navarre, and Will Smith came up with it.
This is incredible. I mean, this has been total dominance. And Kenny Peterson makes the outside move, beats Tony Pate, and then the strip. That's a super play by 97. And now Ohio State, Jim Tressel's team, looking to tack on additional points. Unbelievable.
How quickly things turn around. The timeout's called by Michigan to try to get it back, get something on the board, and now Ohio State with the opportunity. They're going for it on this play. Incomplete, well covered. Chris Vance, the intended receiver. Jeremy LeSueur and Charles Drake were right there with it.
Well, the Buckeyes have done a great job with Craig Krenzel. When they put the ball up and they've gone down the field, they've chosen some safer routes. On a fade route, if you miss, if we take a look at the turnovers forced by that Ohio State defense, that includes today's numbers. But when you throw those fade routes to the outside, if you miss, it's an incomplete pass.
2nd and 10. Jenkins in motion. Play action for Krenzel on the roll. Plenty of time looking. Throws to the end zone. comes up with the pick. And the first mistake of the afternoon for the young quarterback.
Craig Krenzel gets greedy. He has 3 points in his back pocket, an ability to take the lead to 24-zip, and he makes a risky throw into the end zone. Play action to the right, the flow of the linebackers, and then the ball hangs up. He was looking for Jenkins, and the ball was underthrown.
Tough throw anyway. Rolling right, trying to throw back left.
Great close by Todd Howard on that ball in the end zone. And now Michigan with a chance to come back down looking for points.
And it's Jermaine Gonzalez, the redshirt freshman, number 18, who is in at quarterback for the Wolverines. John Navarre on the sideline. So the first series here for Gonzalez, the numbers on him. 7 of 13 for 88 yards. But he has spelled Navarre in the last couple of games. And he's a different type quarterback than Navarre. As you see, a flag is down. They back up the Wolverines after the penalty. 1st and 15. Gonzalez going to run. Not very far, though. Out to the 16-yard line. That's it. As the clock continues to run, Michigan out of timeouts here.
Yeah, this is a tough spot to put Gonzalez in at quarterback. Even with Navarre struggling, the turnovers that Navarre had a week ago, but inside your own 20.
It's over his head into the end zone. Gonzalez trying to knock it out of the back of the end zone. That'll go as a safety. So the gamble doesn't pay off for Lloyd Carr, bringing the young redshirt freshman in to run the offense in his own territory.
Well, they come out and they open up with a delay of game call. And Gonzalez gave the signal that he was ready for the snap. Didn't have his eyes on the center. Snap came quickly, but as a center, if you get that signal, look at Gonzalez. He's looking to the outside.
Made a nice play eventually to knock that ball out of the back of the end zone, but that's what he's talking to Lloyd Carr about right now, saying once you give that signal, you've got to be aware that that ball might be snapped at any moment.
Now, you know what, Terry? The center might have thought he had given a signal. The snap came right on the signal. So Gonzalez, inexperienced, comes in. And as I said, a real tough spot to be that young in a game that's this large. With less than a minute to go in the half, down 21. And now the Wolverines are down 23. Wow.
And you've got an offense that is not necessarily the type of offense that can bring you back just by throwing the football. It's an offense based on balance, the run setting up the pass.
Well, if the Wolverines come back in this football game and win, it would be the biggest comeback in terms of points, a deficit in the history of Michigan football. Michigan has never come back from a lead bigger than 17 points.
That is hard to believe. Long history here in Ann Arbor.
Long history.
Maurice Hall, Brandon Childress. It's going to be Childress at the 33. Cuts back, spins. Shoes are all over the place on the field at this point, and there's a flag coming in late as Childress brings it up to the 37. With 28 seconds left until halftime.
That flag.
So a huge surprise so far as Thanksgiving Feast presented by Siemens continues on ABC. Don't forget tonight the action. Washington taking on number 2 Miami, or the Irish taking on number 9 Stanford. That's tonight here on ABC Sports. So we are just getting started on this Saturday in late November. And what a way to get underway. 28 seconds until the half. The 23-0 lead on 3 touchdowns and a safety for the Buckeyes. Krenzel will take it to one knee, and that will be the last play of the first half. Scarlet and Gray celebrating here at Michigan Stadium. Better than 111,000 on hand. And it's the Buckeyes fans who are cheering here at halftime. Final seconds of the first half ticking off. We're going to go from here back to New York. Capital One halftime show. John and Terry with all the highlights from around the country. Guys?
All right, Terry, thanks a lot. 23-0. And, Terry, as you look at this score, you just point to the quarterback, John Navarre.
2 yards rushing. The total offense for Michigan in the first half, 52 yards. John Navarre's got to figure out a way to get things done.
Yeah, John Navarre, 3 turnovers himself in the first half, 5 for 15. Last week he only had 58 yards. He's going to have to be the guy that gets it done in the second half. And I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan goes to some no-huddle offense early here in the third quarter. That's what you got to do when you're down 23 points.
Got to figure out a way to get the offense moving. It would be their greatest comeback win ever, as David pointed out, in the first half. Michigan won the toss, deferred to the second half. They receive, and this one's out of bounds. Didn't get to the end zone. So Michigan will have good field position to start. The Michigan turnovers in the first half. The tip and the interception. Mike Doss taking it back. They had first and goal, scored another tip ball. Tim Anderson coming up with that interception. And then the strip by Peterson setting up another score for Ohio State. The snap going back out of the end zone. Gonzalez couldn't handle it, and that's been the story so far as Michigan starts 1st and 10 from their own 35. B.J. Askew fights his way across the 40 to the 43-yard line as the Wolverines keep it on the ground to start the second half.
And Terry, I don't anticipate they'll go to the no huddle right away. But if they don't come up with a score here in the first 2 or 3 possessions in the second quarter, then you got to start thinking about lengthening the game. Going from the shotgun, no huddle, passing the ball where the clock stops on first downs and incomplete passes.
And what do you do on defense? Because Wells has been able to run all over them.
Yeah, maybe you get an extra safety, a 9th player up near the line of scrimmage. That's how good the Ohio State running game has been.
2nd and 3. The quick hitter to Walker wrapped up right away as he made the catch. So it'll bring up 3rd down. 5th catch of the afternoon for Marquise Walker, and he has now tied the record set by Anthony Carter. Tied for the all-time lead in Michigan history in terms of receptions.
Now, what an accomplishment that is. And looking back at Anthony Carter, one of the great wide receivers to ever play college football.
Looks good out there too, didn't he? Flag on the play. They'll whistle that one dead. AC had some style.
Yeah, nice job by Navarre there, using his cadence, and he drew Mike Collins into the neutral zone.
Prior to the snap, offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty.
Well, you talk about struggles offensively. This is what Michigan did with their first half possessions.
And the rushing game really wasn't the culprit. I mean, Navarre getting balls tipped, missing open receivers, fumbling in the pocket.
First down. Chris Perry breaks it open. Perry trying to beat a man on the far sideline. Knocked out of bounds at the 22. Donnie Nicky ran him out there and saved a touchdown. But a gain of 25. Tressel upset on the sideline.
Well, the last time Michigan was shut out in the first half of play in any football game back in '96 against the same Ohio State team. They trailed 9-0. And they came back and won that one 13-9. And Chris Perry comes in with a bolt of lightning off tackle to the left side.
Perry, the high school All-American out of Advanced North Carolina, gets the call again. Up to the line of scrimmage, may have fallen ahead for 1 yard. Tim Anderson, who had the interception in the first half, stopped him along with Mike Doss.
Well, if Michigan can get a score here quickly, then they're not forced to stop running the football. Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator, still has his full range of offensive plays to choose from in the playbook.
3 receivers set. Askew now back in at tailback. Plenty of time. Going up top. Oh, what a play by Derek Ross. Ronald Bellamy was there. Navarre may have thrown it a little bit too late.
And he put it on the line, too. If Navarre puts a little air under this throw and drops it in, he has a touchdown. But he throws it on a line. And Bellamy was behind Ross.
Derek Ross, who leads the Big Ten with 7 interceptions. Broke up a touchdown pass that time. So it brings up 3rd and 9 for Navarre, who comes to the line of scrimmage with Askew in the backfield. Over the middle, touchdown Walker. Touchdown and the record. Marquise Walker with a touchdown catch, 21 yards, and the Wolverines strike very quickly here in the second half. Hayden Epstein on for the extra point. He's got it. Lloyd Carr, exactly what he wanted to open up the second half. Michigan right back in it. Career receptions in Michigan history. Some pretty big names right behind him on that list. So Michigan on the board for the first time this afternoon. Maurice Hall back deep. Going to bring it out. Hall across the 20, slips and out to the 27-yard line. Our Morgan Stanley well-connected storyline as the Michigan fans start to get into this one. Wells with 122 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half, and Krenzel did not make mistakes. He had the 1 interception, but Navarre is the guy who made mistakes in the first half to put the Michigan defense in bad spots on the field. But he's turned that around so far in the second half, and now it is up to the first-time starter, Craig Krenzel, the sophomore out of Utica, Michigan. Jonathan Wells, nothing doing over the right side. We go back for an update on Purdue and Indiana to John Saunders.
Well, Terry, in the Burger King update, we told you it was sloppy, and Montrell Lowe finds out as he just cannot get across the line. Looked like he slipped a little, stopped by Martin LaPastel, and Indiana holds on to their lead at 13-7. Joe Tiller not too happy.
All right, John, the rain has not come yet in force, at least here in Ann Arbor, but the Michigan fans certainly have, and getting into it right now. Michigan with the touchdown, and just a moment ago, Jonathan Wells got injured on that last carry. He's been the story so far for the Buckeyes. But he is up, and that's a good sign. And walking to the sideline. So it'll bring up 2nd and 11 after that last rushing play, which lost a yard. Lydell Ross, the true freshman out of Tampa, Florida, in for Wells. He's the lone setback. Krenzel trying to call signals here. The straight drop. Has a man open. That's Vance on the sideline. Steps out of bounds short of a first down. First catch of the afternoon.
Yeah, taking a look at the rush chart in the first half, Jonathan Wells getting a lot done in between the tackles. 100 yards, the century mark between the tackles. A couple big touchdown runs. Of course, on that 4th down run to put Ohio State up 14-zip. And Lydell Ross into Spelling.
3rd and a long one now for the Buckeyes. Ross had an opening initially, but it closes quickly. He's not going to get there. Cato, June, and Eric Brackens, and here comes the crowd again. We are in Ann Arbor, after all. Jim Tressel knew no matter what kind of lead he had, this one would not be easy.
And this is Ohio State, Michigan. And momentum changes happen often in these games. Not much in the first half, but Michigan's going to get a shot here again.
Marquise Walker back deep at his own 20-yard line. Andy Groom's punt. This is a good one, sending Walker back all the way to his 10. And he calls for the fair catch, a 56-yard punt. But the Michigan offense with some momentum now in this one, trying to come back. Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chrysler. Drive equals love. Sprint PCS, the clear alternative to cellular. And FedEx. Ground, international, online or express. There's a FedEx for that. It's a new ball game. 23-7. The offense taking it down, scoring on the opening drive. And now B.J. Askew out to the 19-yard line on first down for the Wolverines. Back to John in New York.
Terry, Kansas State trying to make it to a bowl game for the 8th consecutive year and be one of only 3 teams to do that. And guess what? They get the win. Josh Scobie, 37 yards on the touchdown run. They are now bowl eligible, so it's now 8 consecutive years with a bowl.
It's the term every university wants to hear at the end of the season. Bowl eligible as B.J. Askew fights his way, stopped by Tim Anderson. That defensive front doing the job for Ohio State this afternoon.
Things look bleak at halftime, but the score to open up the second half has turned this into a 2-score ball game. 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions, and we have a tie game. And that's what Michigan has to be thinking on offense here early in the third quarter.
Only 3 for 8 on third down this afternoon. Askew cuts back, gets to the 21. We'll have to wait and see.
Now, this is going to be close. I'm not sure he got it.
Well, they are on the field. First down, says B.J.
Now, that was a nice job by B.J. on that series of downs. Some pretty rugged running.
And there is a player down and injured, Darian Scott, the defensive end, who made a big play early in this one, tipping Navarre's pass that was eventually picked off. Well, Jonathan Wells, a great effort today in this game on the ground, but we go back to 1995 for the best ever here at Michigan Stadium. Tim Biakabatuka, the Ohio State game, 313 yards to lead the Wolverines past the Buckeyes 31-23. Wells has got a way to go.
That one hurt. The Buckeyes undefeated going into that contest, and a national title on the line.
In a matchup, a rivalry that has not only produced great names, but some of the legendary lasting moments in college football. They run the reverse. Calvin Bell cuts back. But a nice play by Cortland Bullard to get him by the ankles and bring him down. And again, we see the reverse from Michigan, something they have used this year more than ever.
Well, Ohio State's really pursuing well with the linebackers. And on this reverse, Navarre and his center, number 71, Kurt Anderson, get out wide. It looked like Bell had something going outside, but Cortland Bullard, the outside linebacker for Ohio State, forced it back inside.
Great speed Bullard has. Perry bursting ahead across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Will Smith stopped him there.
Yeah, this is really something. Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator for Michigan, is showing exceptional patience with his play calling, and it's paying some dividends.
And you can see the confidence growing in that offensive line and in the offense for Michigan here in the second half.
It's only a matter of time before it sets up play action.
Third and a long one. Perry in the backfield. Navarre's going to keep it, and looks like he should have the first down. So they'll move the chains again, something that we're not able to do very often in the first half.
And we talked about the score tightening up early here in the third quarter, Terry. It helps Michigan to continue to move the ball some on the ground, but it also forces Ohio State's hand when they have the football. Now you have to ask Craig Krenzel to put the ball up some and not just work on the clock.
And it keeps this Ohio State defense on the field, which they didn't do much of in the first half either. Dominated in terms of time of possession. Walker was out there, but he was out of bounds. He was long gone by the time that ball got out there.
Yeah, Walker was working against C. Grant, a converted linebacker, and Grant used his size and strength just knock Walker out of bounds.
So they are just short of a record crowd today. 111,571, second largest ever. If I'm not mistaken, I think 111,579, I think is a. Couldn't we get 8 more people in here?
Couldn't we get credit for 5 extra up here in the press box?
Navarre with time wanted to run, should have threw it away, but he took a beating for it. Boy, he was just pounded by Tim Cheatwood.
And Cheatwood had some words for him at the end of that play. You know, John Navarre, you got to have a clock in the back of your head when you're quarterback. There comes a time to exit the pocket, he tucks it, and then he decides to take another crack downfield. And this is too much time.
Good coverage in the secondary, but Navarre's got to get rid of that one. It brings up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, nothing wrong with just pulling the football down and gaining some yards with your feet.
7 out of 20 on the afternoon. Out of the gun, here come the Buckeyes. They pick it up. The quick hitter complete, but short of a first down. The catch made by Tyrese Butler, but Donnie Nicky was all over it.
And Ohio State used a zone blitz here. This isn't man-to-man on the outside. They come with the zone blitz, and it forces John Navarre to make a hot throw, but a short throw. And they don't pick up the first down.
Epstein on for a punt. Chris Vance back at his own 13. Nifty move to get away from one, but not the next one. Vance dropped right at the 14-yard line. A 51-yard punt. Buckeyes will take over there. Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan trying to get back into this one. Ohio State with the lead. Jonathan Wells, who was knocked out in the last series, is back in at tailback. Here he comes. Up to the 23-yard line. Wells, who had 122 yards in the first half. And so far in the second half, as Wells is slow to get up again, it's been Michigan who's had the good field position.
Yeah, these might be a case of the cramps. That's what it looks like, and they'll take him to the sideline. Maybe work on that right calf a little bit. This is a pitch play, and usually on a pitch, you're looking to sweep the ball back outside. Jonathan Wells cuts it inside tackle. What a great feel he has for the power running game.
You know, when you hear that a guy's down with a cramp, you think, oh, that's good because he's not injured. But to try to actually play with a cramp is
very tough.
Next to impossible.
Very tough to come back because it keeps on creeping back into your calves, sometimes your hamstrings. Get him some fluids, and again, Ross is back into the game.
Lydell Ross, the true freshman, as they reset the clock here after a gain of 8 on first down by Wells. A rivalry that has produced 68 Big Ten champions and 17 national champions. Michigan trying to win a share of the Big Ten title, but they've got to come back to do it. Tough to hear right now with this crowd. Ross hit as soon as he had the football. Norman Hoyer. What a hit. Hoyer, the sophomore out of Peoria, Arizona, having a great second half to this season.
Krenzel changed his play at the line of scrimmage, called an audible, ran it to the right side, and a great inside move by Hoyer. He has incredible strength, and this is the next big-time All-American defensive lineman for Lloyd Carr.
Got to be a bad feeling when you're Ross and you get that handoff and you see big number 90 straight ahead.
Great talent.
3rd down and 5. Play action. Krenzel under pressure. He's going to go down. The top defense in the country in terms of sacks. Larry Foote and Victor Hobson got there. A loss of 5, and this Michigan crowd starting to believe just a little bit. Andy Groom on for the punt. And Marquise Walker back at his own 35. The wind coming into the face of Groom as he just does get this one off. And it takes an Ohio State bounce and then some. This is going to roll all the way down inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Let's go back to New York and check in again with John.
Terry, as you know, Wisconsin had won 6 consecutive Paul Bunyan axes, but today against Minnesota, Assad Abdul-Khalik with a 3-yard touchdown run here, and Minnesota walks off or runs off with the axe, with the victory over Wisconsin. It's been that type of year for Barry Alvarez, who finishes up 5-7. Terry.
Wow. Roller coaster year for Barry Alvarez in Wisconsin. 66 yards on the punt just a moment ago. So John Navarre brings him up to the line of scrimmage. B.J. Askew, the call on first down. Lost the football, but he lost it late. Hit by Joe Cooper. Take a look at our Pacific Life game summary and what has taken place in the second half here in terms of scoring. Touchdown pass to Marquise Walker. Not only got the touchdown, but broke the record. The all-time leading receiver in Michigan history with that catch. Second down, Navarre. No pressure at all. Walker with the catch, but a nice tackle. Boy, Derek Ross, who has been blanketing Marquise Walker all afternoon, had him well covered and wrapped him up.
There might be some doubts on Navarre's accuracy, but not on his arm strength. He's throwing this ball into the teeth of the wind. And look at the reaction by Derek Ross. Ross is having a great game at that corner position. As we mentioned, leading the Big Ten in interceptions. And another third down situation for Navarre in this Michigan offense.
The numbers on Marquise Walker. He had 15 receptions in the game against Washington earlier in the year. Navarre, the quick drop throws. This one's batted down. C. Grant coming on from that cornerback spot, getting high into the air. The Ohio State defense holds.
Well, Navarre has had a lot of problems with deflections and tip passes. And Ohio State had that defense perfectly.
Epstein's punt. Chris Vance did not have a chance to field it again. It hit him, and Michigan got the ball, but he didn't have a chance to catch it. That's the second time this afternoon that we've seen that. The Wolverines wanting it to go their way, but I'm sure that's going to be the call.
Well, Jeremy LeSueur from Michigan blocked an Ohio State player back into the punt returner. And that's what they're talking about.
Yep, even though it hit an Ohio State player and came back, Michigan recovered. Vance never had a chance.
At the end of the play, Jeremy LeSueur made contact with another Buckeye. Let's see if we can pick it up. Derek Ross, and that's number 21, Jeremy LeSueur, making contact, forces Ross back into Vance, and the ball does not touch Chris Vance.
It hit somebody.
Crowd doesn't like it, but that ball did not reach Chris Vance.
In any case, he never had an opportunity to field it, so that's what the call is here. So the Buckeyes will start 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line. Lloyd pleading his case on the sideline to no avail. Lino Ross in at tailback for the injured Wells. There goes Ross cutting back. Strong move across the 40 to the 42. Victor Hobson on the stop. Ross 6 feet, 210 pounds. Second leading rusher on the Ohio State team. And Hobson, who's had just a terrific run here in this year. And he's only a junior. Got to give high marks to Craig Krenzel so far in this one. Kept his poise throughout. 2nd and 4. Ross tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Falls ahead. Grant Bowman in on the stop along with Charles Drake.
Michigan trails 23-0 at half. They get a touchdown to open the second half. Didn't look like the clock was going to be much of a factor, but the last 2 possessions, the Wolverines have come up empty. And now the clock becoming a factor as we tick down towards the end of the 3rd quarter.
They tend to Charles Drake, the strong safety who was injured on the play.
Charles Drake coming in on support against Ross, and it looks like that right leg gets caught up underneath it. Might have been a knee on knee.
John Shaw, the sophomore out of Coral Springs, Florida, in for Charles Drake right now. 5 out of 12 on third down this afternoon for Ohio State. And it's 3rd and 4. Here come the Wolverines with pressure. On the run, throws to his tight end. Incomplete. Darnell Sanders, the intended receiver, but it was well covered by Cato June. And it brings up 4th and 4.
Great anticipation by the free safety. He got to the spot before Sanders. Watch the break by number 2. On the outside. It's just enough of the piece of the ball to break it up.
So Andy Groom is on for another punt. He just hit one 66 yards with a lot of roll. Marquise Walker back at his own 15. Thought about it and then ran away from it. And it's down at the 21, a punt of 39. We go back to John Saunders in New York.
All right, the old Oaken Buckets. You want to win this one. Purdue against Indiana. Kyle Orton on 4th down. Trying to lead him back. Down, only a touchdown into the end zone. It's no good. So Indiana comes up with a victory at 13-7 in the bad weather and snapping a 4-game losing streak to Purdue. Meanwhile, in the backyard brawl, Pitt, a winner over West Virginia, 23-17. Terry.
All right, John, the old Oaken Bucket. You got the Paul Bunyan axe, right, with Wisconsin, Minnesota. The old backyard brawl.
The Hoosiers.
A lot of the rivalries.
Hoosiers win back that bucket. Remember last year, Purdue clinched the Rose Bowl berth in the game against Indiana for the old Oaken Bucket.
Don't forget, next Saturday, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship game. Conference title, bid to a BCS Bowl on the line here on ABC, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Next Saturday night, this one complete to Bill Seymour, the tight end over the middle. His first catch of the afternoon. So the Wolverines trying to mount a comeback here. It would be their greatest ever. Down 23-0 at the half. Scored on their opening drive in the second half to get on the board, get everyone excited here in Michigan Stadium, but Ohio State still leads it. Terry Gannon, David Norrie with you here as the Wolverines try to win a share of the Big Ten title and earn a trip to one of the BCS Bowls. 3rd and 3. Here come the Buckeyes, but Perry runs right by him. He's got a first down. Chris Perry all the way out to the 40. A gain of 12 and the move to chains.
Nice piece of running by Perry. Ohio State was bringing a blitz with the middle linebacker, Matt Wilhelm. Doss, the strong safety, coming as well. And Perry with a little burst to break through the line of scrimmage and pick up the first down.
Perry getting some work here in the second half and making the most of it as he trades places back and forth with B.J. Askew. Bellamy in motion. They fake it. Navarre looking for Walker. Double coverage over the middle of the field. Walker's got it. In between 2 defenders as one fell down. Marquise Walker. Derek Ross and Will Allen were back there, but a gain of 47 on the pass.
Marquise Walker gets mugged on this play. This is pass interference. Ohio State with good depth. Contact from both defenders, and Walker fights through it. Look at the contact from behind by Derek Ross. And Walker still makes the play.
First down at the 13. Chris Perry falls ahead for a gain of 1 on first. Tim Anderson on the stop. Our Chrysler Drive summary: 4 plays, 66 yards. There's the time, still counting here on this drive.
Great throw by Navarre. He's starting to heat up. That was a difficult post ball, and he's throwing flat into a tough wind. Remember, Michigan will get the wind in the 4th quarter.
Askew back in the backfield on second down. Play action. Navarre with plenty of time. Nowhere to go. Throws it away. We had time initially, but Darian Scott eventually got there.
And that's where a quarterback with running ability pays dividends for you. Navarre has all sorts of time, good protection up front. And if he tucks that ball, he picks up some yards, maybe a first down. Under pressure throughout this game, especially in the first half, but he's starting to settle down, and it's been critical. The offensive line giving him time to throw from the pocket.
3 receivers set on 3rd down. Here come the Buckeyes. They pick it up. Walker through his hands. Derek Ross was a step behind him, and Marquise Walker couldn't hold on.
Unbelievable. The post route, and he hits him right on top of the 4. Walker just flat out drops this one.
Let it hit his pads. Didn't catch it with his hands.
Now, you can't let the ball get to your pads. And it's a little bit damp down there. There's some moisture, sprinkling a bit. But Walker should come up with that one.
So here's Hayden Epstein, 27-yarder. And that is no good. He hooked it. Go figure that. From 27 yards, Hayden Epstein, who is a senior, won the game last week, and he missed it. So whatever momentum may have been on the side at some point of Michigan is no longer there.
Now, when Lloyd Carr looks back on this game, and certainly when Jim Tressel looks back on this game, they're going to remember that turn of events. The dropped ball by Marquise Walker, a great ball from Navarre, and then the hook by Epstein.
He never got the seams in the right place. Still, from 27, you figure Epstein's going to hit it.
Still got to hit it.
Lionel Ross gets the carry on 1st down, hit hard by Cato June after a hit for about 3.
Navarre had trouble handling the snap, and look at the ball.
Got the laces right there. Still, as you said,
that's a wet football. Pretty good snap, and Navarre had trouble holding on.
Now, Ohio State, David, has not gotten a first down in the entire second half. And we've played almost the entire 3rd quarter. On 2nd and 10. Krenzel out of the gun. Going up top, miscommunication. Chris Vance stopped. And Krenzel thought he was going to run the fly. So it's Ohio State holding the lead, 23-7. Back with the 4th after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back to our Thanksgiving feast presented by Siemens here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Buckeyes with a 23-7 lead over the Wolverines here in the 98th meeting between the two. As we open up the 4th quarter, Craig Krenzel has directed the show for the Buckeyes, but as we said when we went to break, they have not gotten a first down in the second half. As the rain starts to fall even harder, this one incomplete. Ben Hartsock, the intended receiver, a backup tight end. See the raindrops on the camera lens there.
That's the benefit of jumping out to a big lead in the Big Ten Conference, especially in November. You never know when the weather will hit. And it makes it tough to come back when you're going to have to put the ball in the air.
Michigan should get pretty good field position here. Andy Groom punting against the wind. Marquise Walker back at his own 40. Hasn't had much of a chance to field any of these or return them, and doesn't this time either. Picks it up at the 37, but knocked backwards. Angelo Chatham's on the hit. A punt of 40 yards, no return. And don't forget, Monday Night Football coming your way here on ABC. The Bucks and the Rams. The Rams rolling 8-1 so far. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And then, of course, before that Sunday night over on ESPN, the Bears taking on the Vikings. NFC Central showdown there. But meanwhile, a quarter to play here in Ann Arbor. As John Navarre brings him up, Chris Perry gets the handoff over the right side. Tough running. This defensive front for Ohio State has done a great job today. Simon Frazier, the true freshman, Upper Arlington, Ohio, in on the stop.
It's still only a 2-score game, and Michigan has to mix in just enough run to give Navarre some time in the pocket. And Michigan does have the wind behind them for the fourth quarter, and that should help the passing game some.
B.J. Askew, the lone setback now. 3 receivers set. Here comes Askew, not going anywhere. He's going to lose about 5 at least. Tim Anderson, Cortland Bullard got there quickly. Anderson's had a big game.
Yeah, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6. I didn't like that play call. 16-point deficit. We're in the fourth quarter, and Navarre starting to get some rhythm at quarterback to get a good first down run for yardage. I don't know why you go right back to the run.
Brings up 3rd and 12. Navarre under pressure, flushed out. Room to run initially. Closes quickly. Matt Wilhelm, number 35, got there along with Kenny Peterson, who flushed him out of the pocket initially. So again, this offense has stalled for Lloyd Carr. And Hayden Epstein will come on for another punt. Chris Vance back deep, and this is a good one. Vance hauled in at the 15, and that's where the Buckeyes will start their next possession when we come back to Ann Arbor.
Back here in New York, Michigan State against Penn State. Matt Seneca, 3-yard touchdown run here. Imagine this. Penn State started the season 0-4. If they win this week and next, they're going to a bowl. Terry.
It's amazing, John, and the fans here in Ann Arbor still having nightmares over that Michigan State-Michigan game earlier this season. Wolverines losing on the last play of the game. Lydell Ross, tough going. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe one. He came on earlier in this second half for Jonathan Wells, who was injured, and we'll try to get a report on him. Looked like he had cramps. He's not been able to return since leaving that last time, so it's been all Ross since. But the clock certainly becoming an ally right now for Jim Tressel and the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and the Buckeyes would just love to pick up a couple first downs on the ground, work on that clock, and not put Krenzel in situations where he might turn the ball over, make a mistake.
2nd and 10 out of the shotgun now is Krenzel. Inside give to Ross. Looks for room, fights his way to the 22. Gotta get out to the 26 for a first down. Shante Orr, defensive end, and on the stop.
And looking back over the course of the afternoon at Craig Krenzel and the way he's played, he's done a superb job of operating this offense before the snap as well. He's done a great job of managing the team at the line of scrimmage. He's made good throwing decisions. Hasn't made any mistakes in terms of turnovers that Michigan can really build on and feed off of.
Play clock down to 3. He's got to get it off quickly, and he does not get it off. They're going to throw the flag, delay of game. Then we have seen that from him. That's about the one thing that we have seen.
Delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty means 3rd down.
With a young quarterback. But I want to ask you, do you think there would have been much of a difference if Belisari were in there? You have some mobility, I guess, with Belisari, but this is a guy who's made great decisions all day.
Well, first of all, Krenzel's got to keep track of that 25-second clock coming out of the huddle. But to answer your question, Terry, I think he's done a great job. And Steve Belisari's taken a lot of lumps over the last 2 years. He's been booed at home. And, you know, after Krenzel's performance last week, there were some people in Columbus that were thinking and also saying, hey, why hasn't this guy gotten a chance? Krenzel has looked pretty tough at that quarterback position, and he's thrown the ball well. Not just last week. This afternoon, he's made a couple nice throws as well.
And remember, he didn't even start that game last week for Belisari. As they reset the clock here and take some time to do that, it was Scott McMullen who got the start, and Krenzel came on in relief.
Krenzel hadn't taken a snap from center the whole season going into that Illinois game.
3rd and 10. with 11:31 left in this one. Straight drop. No pressure over the middle. Caught, and a tough catch by Darnell Sanders. Well shy of a first down there. Little room to punt though.
You think it gets physical down there if you're a tight end? That was a nice play by Sanders just to hold on. And the linebackers converged in a hurry. Larry Stevens really laid the wood to him.
Walker back at midfield gives that last play, the last catch, gives Groom a little more room. Punting against the wind here. Here come the Wolverines. He doesn't get it off. It's blocked. Big play from Michigan defensively here on special teams. They'll have first and goal. Zach Kaufman, I believe, the man who got there, number 37.
Well, they blocked 2 last week. And this unit really won the game against Wisconsin. And Groom, no chance. Looked like Anthony Jordan, backup inside linebacker, was the first to arrive. And now this changes the whole complexion of the football game.
Kaufman fell on the football. Lloyd Carr out. He's a good 20 yards onto the field. Navarre play action, rolling right. Throws, tip, dangerous pass. Askew was there, but he was well covered. And Lloyd barely got back to the sideline.
The Buckeyes reacted to play action very well on that play. Doss wasn't fooled in the end zone. Navarre had nowhere to go with the football.
Throw that one about 3 rows deep.
And with the drop in the end zone by Marquise Walker at the end of the third quarter, Wolverines cannot afford to come up empty here.
2nd and goal from the 9. B.J. Askew has a hole inside the 5 down to the 3 maybe. Joe Cooper stopped him. It'll bring up 3rd and goal. 10:33 and counting.
Well, this is a big opportunity for both teams right here. If Lloyd Carr can get a touchdown from his offense, it's potentially a 1-score game. 2-point conversion pending. But if Ohio State can force another field goal attempt, the momentum swings back across the field.
Double tight end set. Askew the lone setback. Play clock running down. Quick drop, throw. Walker tipped. Incomplete, but a flag as Navarre goes down after throwing that one.
This is going to be a first down. This is a roughing the quarterback call against Ohio State, most likely.
There you go.
Navarre's looking outside on the quick slant. And that's Will Smith. Will Smith with the personal foul call, and Derek Ross, the cornerback, a great play negated for the Ohio State defense.
The numbers on Navarre: 7 of 20 at one point, but 11 of 28 now, and knocking on the door.
Will Smith gave Michigan another big opportunity after his teammate Derek Ross made a great play outside to break up that ball.
So it's 1st and goal from just outside the 2. Askew straight ahead. Can he get there? Touchdown, Michigan. They're back in it. And they will go for 2 here. .10:02 left in the 4th quarter. So it's a 10-point game as Michigan keeps John Navarre in the offense on the field to go for 2. Askew offset in the backfield. Walker in motion to the near. Navarre on the roll. Has Walker, had him initially and threw it late, but there's a flag as there is contact at the goal line. Mike Doss, number 2, the strong safety, was there.
There is no foul. Disregard the flag.
And they're going to wave it off. Wow.
You were right, Terry. Navarre did have Walker early. Watch number 4 in motion. He's going to come open early. But the ball's delivered late. Had Walker just for a split second. And Doss and C. Grant arriving outside to break up that play.
And Lloyd Carr wants to know, hey, if you saw it initially and you threw the flag, what made you change your mind? A laugh of desperation there, the look on Lloyd's face. So it's still a 10-point game with 10:02 remaining.
Michigan will take that. You know, they would have liked to have had that 2-point conversion, cut it to a 1-score football game, but more than 10 minutes to go here. 10-point lead, and the Wolverines back from the dead.
And Ohio State now in a situation where the offense is really stalled in the second half. Not been able to get anything going at all, and they've got a world of time on the clock.
Well, it's been two things. Ohio State went to a bit more of a conservative game plan, and justifiably so. You have a 23-0 lead. Michigan has never come back in the history of their football program from more than a 17-point deficit. So Ohio State gets a little bit conservative, and Michigan's defense has really answered the call here in the second half.
Maurice Hall, Brandon Childress back deep for the Buckeyes. With the win, this one sending Hall 5 yards, and he'll go to one knee, bring it out to the 20. So it's up to Craig Krenzel to try to hold on to this one for Ohio State. Don't forget the action from out west coming up next. The Skins game, Woods, Parnevik, Norman, and Montgomery. Monty, the defending champion, as they play for $1 million.
Well, this is where you start earning your keep as an offensive coordinator. And Jim Bowman for Ohio State becomes a little trickier, because anytime you put the ball up, the kid making his first start on the road in front of 111,000 fans, he makes a mistake, and this thing could get tight, even tighter in a hurry.
There goes Jenkins in motion. Play action on the roll is Krenzel. Throws back at his tight end Hartsock. Open, a first down across the 35 to the 38. That's a big play for the young quarterback on first down.
Impressive play by Krenzel. He's made some super plays on the move with his feet, and that was designed for him to set up over tackle. He continues outside and gets some great help from Hartsock. Hartsock sat down in the middle of that zone defense, found a void, and gave his young quarterback a nice picture to throw to.
Don't forget, coming up at the end of the game, Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet making a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. A gain of 18 there, 40 total yards in the second half for Ohio State, and 1 first down. As Lionel Ross carries it over the left side. But it was a big first down to give the young quarterback some confidence. Oklahoma State underway. Oklahoma trying to win the Big 12 South and go to the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game. 8:57 and counting here as we bring up 2nd and 6 for the Buckeyes. Ross pounded at the line of scrimmage. Grant Bowman was there. So was Todd Howard. And he'll bring up 3rd down.
Now, this was a corner blitz, and sometimes a defensive coordinator will bring secondary members and cornerbacks on blitzes against the run. A nice job by Howard to time it up off the handoff and make a solid tackle.
So 3rd down coming up with 8:17 and counting. 44 total yards for Ohio State in this half. Play action. Throwing to Ross out of the backfield. He won't get there. Larry Foote, a great play. The middle linebacker and the senior from Detroit. And the Buckeyes will have to punt it away to the Wolverines with 7:54 left. Andy Groom on. Marquise Walker back at his own 22. They blocked one a moment ago. Here they come again. He gets it off. Walker has a chance to return this one. Slips down at the 23. 33-yard punt, 1-yard return. The block, eventually the touchdown. Michigan back to within 10. To you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest lasting trucks on the road. Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one? Your Morgan Stanley financial advisor, who will never let you lose sight of what you're investing for. And Burger King, home of the Whopper. 7:27 left here. 10-point lead as Navarre goes to the air. This one's picked off. Mike Doss' second interception. He may take it back. Knocked out of bounds inside the 10. A huge interception by Doss. And Navarre dejected as he walks off.
Well, Navarre's going to set this up with an arm fake. They beat Derek Ross, and Navarre doesn't account for Doss over the top. Navarre thought he had the defense beat when Derek Ross bit on the throw, but Doss came over the top, made a great break on the football. And a huge turnover here in the fourth quarter for the Buckeyes.
10-point lead for Ohio State, but the offense hasn't been able to do anything in the second half. And Michigan, the team that was putting up the points, knocking on the door, and now the interception by Doss.
Now Michigan has to play some sudden change defense right away.
Don't forget, Thanksgiving Feast presented by Siemens continues tonight. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Number 11 Washington taking on number 2 Miami. That's another big one. Or you'll see the Fighting Irish taking on number 9 Stanford.
I had a chance to talk to Rick Neuheisel earlier this week, and he says, hey, one thing I'm not going to let my team do down in Miami is watch the Hurricanes warm up. That's how impressive they look in the uniform. He said especially their defensive line.
Some performance last week. First and goal inside the 10. Sammy Maldonado, a sophomore out of New York, now in at tailback. Gets the call. Flags on the play. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage. First carry on the afternoon for Maldonado.
This may be too many men on the field for Michigan.
Now, when we talk about this offense stalling in the second half, remember, Ohio State has been without Jonathan Wells for much of the second half. He had 122 yards in the first half. Give some of the credit to the defense for Michigan, though.
Well, you could see Steve Newman, the referee, counting after the play. It looked like he was counting the Wolverines, but it was illegal participation on the Buckeyes. And we're pretty even.
Michigan had 52 in the first half, 52 total yards.
Things evening up considerably as far as total yards are concerned.
Still first and goal, but now they're back at the 24. Krenzel play action. Under pressure. Throws back. Got his fullback Jamar Martin. Trying to rumble down the sideline. Pushed out of bounds by Eric Brackens and Cato June. And there's a flag at the end of the play. We'll sort this out.
Well, Cato June made a terrific play. Or this screen pass goes for a touchdown. And Terry, they're talking over a late hit.
You got the two white hats out there. It might be confusing. Looks like there are two referees. Actually, there was an official that went down injured early in the game. So the other referee is an alternate official who happens to be a referee. That's why you have the two white hats out there.
A 15-yarder goes against Ohio State.
Was that Maldonado coming in late, number 5?
That was Maldonado, and he pushed a Wolverine into the ball carrier. A nice job by the officials to sort that out, because initially it looked like a personal foul against the Wolverines. And Cato June on that screen play was alone on the sideline. Took on 3 blockers and made the tackle.
8 penalties, and that one hurts the Buckeyes here. So they had first and goal inside the 10, and now they're back at the 32-yard line with 6:51 left in the game. Vidal Ross back in for Maldonado. Ahead for maybe 2. Didn't even get that.
The Buckeyes need additional yards here if they're going to think about a field goal try with Mike Nugent. They're operating into a pretty stiff wind. And Jim Tressel, along with his offensive coaching staff, have done a great job of getting to pass plays for Krenzel that haven't been high-risk passes. And they're looking at another right here.
And it brings up 3rd down, 3rd and goal from just inside the 32. Play clock running down. Krenzel gets it off. Throws back. Guy's man, tight end, Darnell Sanders. Out of bounds at the 15. Saunders rumbling down, a gain of 16. But, and speaking of Saunders, we go to John in New York.
We're rumbling here as well. Michigan State against Penn State. We told you about Penn State and their chances for a bowl. Jeff Smoker trying to erase them. 59 yards to Charles Rogers. Saw the flag. Didn't matter. Was not against Michigan State. They go up with a 10-7 lead. Terry, back to you.
All right, John, thanks. This one a field goal try from 33 yards. Flags on the play. And we shall see. Mike Nugent, the freshman from Centerville, Ohio, the place kicker. Ohio State celebrating. Looks like it. Nope. Count the guys out here.
Yeah, it looks definitely like 12. 12 Wolverines all in the box. That doesn't bring an automatic first down. Well, that's what they're talking over right now. Jim Tressel conversing with the referee.
Now, bringing back bad memories for Michigan fans, that Michigan State game with 12 men on the field. Eventually losing that.
On the defense, the penalty is declined. The points are taken. Field goal is good.
They're going to leave the 3 up there. So with the field goal, it is now a 13-point lead. 5:58 left. Giving feast presented by Siemens. Ohio State with a 26-13 lead. 5:58 left in this one here, and the action continues tonight. Don't forget, in prime time on ABC. Little pooch kick now, fielded up at the 25. Fair catch called for, and he started to run, as a matter of fact. Sean Thompson, the backup tight end. And they've got it down at the 27. If you're John Navarre now, if you're Lloyd Carr, offensively, what does Michigan have to do, David?
Well, I think with 5:51 to go here, down 13 points, and Michigan did their part on the sudden change end of things. They held Ohio State to a field goal. It's a 2-score game, but I think Michigan needs to get into a no-huddle here right away.
Navarre out of the shotgun on first down, just under 6 minutes. Quick throw, Marquise Walker at the 30, and gets out of bounds up at the 32. Derek Ross on the coverage and the hit.
Not really enough time to huddle. If you go with the no-huddle offense and you try to complete balls beyond the first down markers and to the sidelines, plenty of time for Michigan. If you huddle, then time really becomes a factor.
9th catch of the afternoon for Marquise Walker. If you weren't with us, he set the record, all-time leader in terms of receptions in Michigan history. Defensive end, jumped across, down goes Navarre. Kenny Peterson brought him down. We'll have to wait and see what they call on the flag. First and 10 is brought to you today by Chevy Trucks.
Buckeye's going to get hit with a 5-yarder in the neutral zone. Watch the top of your screen. It's Kenny Peterson, number 97, with a step into the neutral zone, and that'll move the chains for the Wolverines.
Navarre, straight drop. Quick throw. Walker again. Same play. Gets out of bounds. 10th catch of the afternoon. C. Grant on the coverage.
This is going to be tough for Michigan if they stay with the short routes. As you throw the ball short of the chains, and only 5:26 to go in this one, 13-point deficit, that clock will continue to run if your ball carrier outside doesn't get out of bounds. Navarre needs to start taking some chunks down the field.
Got 4 on that play. 2nd and 6. Navarre looks to the sideline again. He's got his man, Kelvin Bell. He gets out of bounds across midfield, and that's a first down for the Wolverines. First catch of the afternoon for Bell. Joe Cooper hit him there. So Navarre trying to direct the comeback here.
Yeah, this is a nice ball by Navarre, and he delivers it with some velocity to the outside. Bell heads up play to get out of bounds. And Navarre's starting to get Ohio State secondary leaning towards the sidelines. Good time to maybe throw a dig route, a crossing route over the middle. 4
receivers set on first down. Navarre again the quick out. Walker slips by one and then another. Caught from behind, but down to the 40-yard line is Marquise Walker. Gain of 9. Navarre brings him back up to the line of scrimmage.
Smart move by Stan Paris, the offensive coordinator. 13-point lead for Ohio State. Go with 2 clock drives.
Plenty of time for Navarre. Caught out there by Bellamy. Great throw, great catch, first down. Dustin Fox on the coverage, but Ronald Bellamy made a nice catch for a gain of 19.
Big time ball right here from Navarre. He's going to throw this out over the head of Derek Ross, number 7. And he drops it right into the area on the sideline. You know, when Navarre gets set and he gets his feet together in the pocket, he can be a very accurate passer.
Exclusively out of the shotgun here. Expected the snap earlier that time. Navarre hit. It's a forward pass, incomplete. Believe it was number 75, Simon Frazier, who got to Navarre.
Simon Frazier, the true freshman, has really stepped up his play in the Big Ten conference schedule. And John Navarre doesn't have much of a chance here. Tony Pate, number 77, the big left tackle for Michigan, just turns him loose.
Frazier didn't want to turn Navarre loose.
Real close to creating another fumble in the pocket there. That was scary for Lloyd Carr.
Navarre got stripped earlier in the game in the first half. Inside give, Askew as they keep it on the ground inside the 15 to the 13, but the clock will continue to run here.
Well, plenty of time for Michigan, and they've done a great job in the no huddle. They've done a great job getting the ball out of bounds. They have 3 timeouts. If they can cash in, it's still a ball game.
Under 4:30. This one is tipped. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Tim Cheatwood. We've seen that happen all afternoon.
Number 49, Tim Cheatwood, beats Pape again to the outside, gets the hands up. This defensive line for the Buckeyes done a great job getting their hands up, deflecting balls, creating turnovers.
Skins game coming up next. Long way from over here, though. 4th down. Quick out. He overthrew his intended receiver. And it'll change hands. Ohio State will get the ball back. Ronald Bellamy was out there. Navarre threw it quickly and threw it too far. So, David, they drive it all the way down the field, but then the defense for Jim Tressel coming up with a big stop. They'll have it when we come back.
In 1935, Foxwood Farms started with 1 horse and a truck. The horse was a thoroughbred, the truck a Chevy Suburban. Today, they have a few more horses. But there's still only one truck, Chevy Suburban.
4:22 left. Ohio State getting the ball back after the stop on 4th down. They have a 13-point lead. Jim Tressel trying to win in his first matchup with Michigan as the head coach of Ohio State. Bo Schembechler did it back in, what, 69? His first matchup.
Well, you could absolutely feel the air come out of the balloon on that 4th down attempt, but still enough time. 4 minutes, 22 seconds. 4:23.
They're working on the clock right now, actually, trying to reset it. They've had some problems with the clock all afternoon.
Well, Michigan has all 3 timeouts, and if they can get a stop right here, and Navarre gets into another clock drive, still plenty of time. Stranger things have happened, and Jim Tressel knows it.
And he has not tried at all to play down this rivalry or how big this game is. You saw earlier his speech back on January 18th where he mentioned we have 310 days. He'll be proud of our football team in Ann Arbor. And fully understands how important this rivalry is as a head coach in Columbus.
Well, huge implications. Remember, Ohio State has a great shot to play on New Year's Day.
Yep. Krenzel changing the play now. Ross, who has played most of the second half for the injured Jonathan Wells, may have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Our Pacific Life game summary. Early on, it was all Jonathan Wells. In the first half, he had 3 touchdowns and 122 yards. The Buckeyes had the 23-0 lead. And then, of course, the late interception, one of 3 thrown by Navarre. That was Mike Doss, his second of the game, setting up the last field goal for the Buckeyes. And there's Wells on the sidelines. Looks to be okay at this point. But he carried the load early on.
And then Mike Doss picked up the load in the second half. I mean, Mike Doss has had a super game for Ohio State. He had the pick early, returned it inside the 10. The big interception on the last possession.
So the Michigan timeout here, so they have 2 left. 4:16. The 98th meeting between these 2 schools. It's been all Michigan as of late, especially here in Ann Arbor. The Wolverines have won 6 in a row at home against Ohio State coming into this one.
Some real heartbreakers in the 90s.
If Ohio State can hold on here, there'll be plenty of people in Columbus saying, well, we were 6-4 in the preseason, 1-0 in the real season. Beating Michigan, the thing that counts. Ross wrapped up. We go back to New York and check in with John Saunders again.
Well, Terry, the hopes of Joe Paterno starting to be dashed a little bit here against Michigan State. Damon Dowdell, watch him a little pump fake with the ball and then moves it in. 17-7 is the score on the 1-yard touchdown run. Michigan State with the lead over Penn State. Michigan State looking to be bowl eligible. Meanwhile, Penn State has just pulled off an interception, so the championship in the Big 12 not secure just yet for the Sooners.
Don't forget Woods, Parnevik, Norman, and Montgomery battling it out with a Skins game next here on ABC. And by the way, our Chevrolet players of the game, Jonathan Wells for Ohio State, Marquise Walker. Walker with 11 catches, 121 yards this afternoon. Wells with 129 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Buckeyes. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
Well, Terry, 3rd and 10 here. 1 timeout left for Michigan. If they can get a stop, they're going to get the ball in great field position, the wind behind them. And if Ohio State tries to put the ball up, incomplete pass saves that timeout for Michigan. So still plenty of time.
So if you're Jim Tressel, what do you do right now with Krenzel back there?
That's why he earns the big bucks. I think it's pretty tough with Craig Krenzel in the game to try to throw the ball down the field. A turnover is disaster in this situation. So if you throw the ball again, maybe a screen, something safe, and they're emptied out in the backfield. Unbelievable.
Only Krenzel back there. Hall in motion. Krenzel's going to run it. He runs right into the defensive front for Michigan. Jake Freisinger stood him up behind the line of scrimmage. They'll have to punt it away.
The Buckeyes tried to spread him out and then hit him with the quarterback draw. Michigan wasn't fooled inside.
Michigan taking their last time out. While we have a moment, should thank all the people involved in getting this game on the air. Our executive producer at ABC Sports, Howard Katz. Director of production, Bob Toms. Coordinating producer, Bob Goodrich. Jimmy Ressler produced today's game. Jeff Wynn directed it. Jeff Suarez, our technical director. Dave Lilling, our associate director. Production manager, Diane Guarnello. Al Schmitz, our technical manager. The assistants to the producer, John Coral, Andy Renga, Tommy Hall, our computer stats, and in the booth with us, our spotter, Mark Williams, our statistician, John Madry, doing a great job. Really disappointed that Mark Williams, who wears shorts everywhere we go around the country, did not wear them in Ann Arbor today. That's a poor effort.
Weather was a factor in the booth.
Yes, it was. They blocked one earlier. Groom trying to get this one off now. Here come the Wolverines. He gets it off. Walker fields it at midfield. Ahead to the 45 of Ohio State, and that's where the Wolverines will take over with 3:53 left. And they are down 13.
And now John Navarre has to be sure that he tries to hit balls beyond the chains and not take any sacks.
Don't forget, Thanksgiving feast presented by Siemens. More action, great action tonight. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. Washington, Miami, or Notre Dame taking on Stanford. Navarre on first down. Steps up, got room to run. Heads for the sidelines and gets out of bounds.
And Terry, the reason why I say at quarterback in these situations you have to try balls beyond the chains and not take sacks. The clock can't continue to run. If you hit balls or throw incomplete passes beyond the chains, the clock stops in either situation. Just don't hit receivers underneath because time is extremely precious.
Clock stops on that first down until they can get up and get set. Navarre with time throws complete. Calvin Bell out of bounds. So they continue to work the sideline and they'll move the chains. They got a first down with 3:40 plus left.
Well, I think if Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator for Michigan, and John Navarre try to feel out the middle of the field on a deeper crossing route, I think they'll have some success.
Navarre steps up, throws, got Marquise Walker at the 30. Time to dance. Get ahead to the 25. Got to get to the 21 for a first down, maybe the 22, so he's shy of that. Mike Doss makes the hit as Navarre rushes his team up to the line of scrimmage.
Get up to the line of scrimmage and don't waste a play. You don't have to throw this ball to the ground.
Quick toss, Walker, he's got a first down. Did he get out of bounds? Yeah. So the clock will stop. They'll move the chains. Plenty of time for Navarre now to set up the next play.
Nice delivery by Navarre and a good play by Marquise Walker to knife that ball forward. Even if he didn't get out of bounds, he did pick up the first down. The clock would have stopped.
But now more time as he did get out of bounds, and they won't start it till the snap. 3:12. Michigan trying to come back from a 13-point deficit. Navarre goes to the end zone, corner of the end zone, incomplete. Tyrese Butler was there, but well covered by Derek Ross and had no chance.
And Butler worked the fade up the left sideline. And if Navarre can keep this ball in bounds, just overshoots Butler. And Butler was doing everything he could to get a foot down and make the catch.
So it's 2nd and 10 now. 4 receivers set again for the Wolverines. Out of the gun, Navarre looks to the near sideline. Dangerous pass. There was contact, no flag. Bellamy and Ross, and there was contact as Ross ran by, but no penalty marker.
Now Michigan is really hitting the sidelines with the passing game. Navarre almost on every throw is working outside, and looked like he was tripped there. Officials chose to keep the flag in their back pockets, and they might have felt that ball was uncatchable.
Uncatchable, yeah, it could be. Here's Navarre on third down. Throws it. That's uncatchable, too.
Yeah. That ball was definitely uncatchable. And once again, the Wolverines put themselves in a very difficult position. 4th and 10. And a Big Ten championship, a BCS berth, riding for Lloyd Carr.
Comes down most likely to this play. 4th and 10. A share of the Big Ten title for the 4th time in the last 5 years. A bid to a BCS bowl, all coming down to this. Buckeyes showing blitz. Here they come. Picked up. Walker the catch inside the 5 to the 4. First down. First and goal for Michigan. That's a money play. So it's first and goal from the 4. 2:52. Quick drop. Wanted to throw. Can't. Going down, and that's back at the 11-yard line. They'll have to scramble now. Got to get back to the line in a hurry.
Well, smart play by Michigan to go with the play there. A lot of teams would have killed the clock, but Navarre didn't keep himself free. Was trying to throw that ball away.
Wants to throw again. Wants to go to the end zone. Over the middle. He's got Walker. Touchdown, Michigan. He dropped one earlier in the end zone. Not this time. Hayden Epstein on for the extra point after the touchdown catch by Marquise Walker to get Michigan closer. So the Wolverines still in this one. Their Big Ten title hopes still alive with 2:26 left here in Ann Arbor. Let's join John Saunders again in New York. All right, John, a ways to go here, though. 2:26 left, and Michigan only down 6. They trailed 23-0 at the half.
Well, after the sack, this is a heroic play by Navarre. An ISO outside. Marquise Walker's working against Donnie Nicky. The safety stays alive in the back of the end zone. And what a ball from Navarre.
15 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns for Marquise Walker.
And Navarre's shown a lot of heart here in the second half. Had a terrible first half. Only threw for 29 yards, coming off a 58-yard performance last week against Wisconsin. And he has kept his team in the hunt. There's some people on the edge of their seats over in Champaign, Illinois right now because the Big Ten title is up for grabs.
Some people on the edge of their seats right here in Ann Arbor. More than 111,000 of them. The hands team on for both squads with 2:26. Epstein set to kick. Look at all of those Wolverines on the near side.
Michigan could actually kick deep here. Little pop-up behind the front line.
Onside, up top, recovered by Ohio State. Chris Vance with the good hands going high into the air to get it. And Jim Tressel breathing a little bit easier, but not quite relaxed yet.
Yeah, Epstein didn't quite get the hop, and we saw Epstein working earlier this year during the Illinois week on a little pop-up, a deep kick back over the front line of the hands team. This time he goes low with it and didn't get the kick he was looking for, or that Lloyd Carr was looking for.
And Michigan out of timeouts with 2:23 left.
Now, if they can stop Ohio State on 3 downs, assuming Ohio State keeps the ball on the ground here, there will be just under a minute left.
Lydell Ross looking to get outside. Doesn't want to go out of bounds. brought down with 2 hands around the football. Victor Hobson, John Spytek in on the hit. Clock continues to run.
And Craig Krenzel, young quarterback, getting his first start. Michigan kid on the road in probably the biggest rivalry game in all of college football. And he wants to be in that huddle saying, hey, ball security. Carry it with 2 arms. Whatever we do, we're not going to turn it over.
On the road, but close to home for him. Utica, Michigan native. Ross coming to the right side. Michigan trying to strip him of the football. Not going to get it done. Clock runs. It'll bring up 3rd down.
If Michigan gets a stop, most likely you're in about a half-minute left if they can field a punt. And Ohio State has timeouts left. They have the comfort of knowing they can take a 25-second clock down almost to its expiration and then call timeout, figure out what they need to do.
And don't forget, Michigan's been great in terms of blocking punts. They've already blocked one that set up a score today. There goes Ross, trying to hold on to the football. He does, but he doesn't go anywhere. So the Michigan defense holds here with under a minute and counting. You've got 4th down if you're Jim Tressel. The clock's still running. Trying to decide what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's going to look more like 20 seconds. And Michigan may find themselves, Terry, in the same position that Colorado found themselves in back in the late 90s. The catch, Michael Westbrook.
Yeah.
The Buffalo started with 13 seconds to go on their own 13-yard line.
So they run the clock all the way down and then call timeout before the play clock expires. Well, somehow you knew with the history of this series that this would end up being a game, even when it was 23-0. But it was hard to figure out how Michigan was going to get back into it because they had no offense in the first half whatsoever. Navarre got a little more rhythm in the second half. Marquise Walker got it going. Defensively, they had some big stops. A blocked punt.
Missed field goal in the second half.
Yeah.
Played into this, a short chip shot by Epstein, and Marquise Walker has definitely been the MVP on this offense throughout the year. He breaks the record today, Anthony Carter's long-standing single-season reception record, but that drop in the end zone late in the 3rd quarter has been a big factor as well.
Krenzel, you saw a little bit of a smile on the sideline.
I mean, he goes into that game last week against Illinois. He goes to bed Thursday night, a week ago Thursday. Figures he's not even going to play.
Tonight, don't forget, number 11 Washington, number 2 Miami. That's a big one. Or you'll see Notre Dame taking on Stanford in prime time.
The Huskies could play the Hurricanes a little bit tighter than most people think. That should be a great one.
Andy Grumman. Here come the Wolverines trying to get there. They won't. And he gets it away. He's going to roll down, take more time off the clock, and ends up at the 20-yard line. Go back to John Saunders in New York very quickly.
Michigan State trying to dash the dreams of postseason for Penn State. Little John Flowers from 9 yards out just bowls his way into the end zone. And so the lead is now up to 24-7. Meantime, you know, Oklahoma needs a win today against Oklahoma State. They'll be in the Big 12 championship game, and they finally have one on the board with a 7-0 lead, Oklahoma over Oklahoma State. Terry, back to you.
All right, John, thanks. 9 seconds left here. Michigan taking over, first down at their 20. Navarre on the roll, looking to throw it long. Got hit as he threw and incomplete. 3 seconds remaining.
Now, what Michigan wanted to do right there is hit a ball for about 20-25 yards, get it out of bounds, or at least go to a knee, make sure the wide receiver went down, then get up and kill the ball, look for a Hail Mary on the last play of the game. Didn't happen.
Comes down to this. Will it be the Illini winning the Big Ten title or Michigan with a miracle? They're going to need one here with 3 seconds left. The Ohio State faithful up on their feet. It's been a tough really quarter of a century for Ohio State in this matchup. Michigan winning 17 of the last 25. But Jim Tressel in his first year bringing his squad here to Ann Arbor and on the verge of keeping Michigan from winning a share of the Big Ten championship. Trips to the far side. Here it is. Navarre to the air. Deep. Intercepted. Ohio State pulls off the upset. Illinois, the Big Ten champ. Michigan, a heartbreaker at home. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Stay tuned. Skins game up next. This is ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. Goodbye, everybody.